Be cool, be kind, be classy. A cupcake so sweet and sexy. Have fun and enjoy the journey. Or just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. And not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade. Sipping motions of lemonade. Cool heads will prevail, kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. Is a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack Sack Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterways. Speaking Yiddish or Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Pilta and Meshegas. Ridiculous that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Proceed, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. My cupcakes sweet and sassy. And not just a YouTube show. When you know. Cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
Okay. All right. Oh, really? Somebody had to start off with a rude comment? How rude. This lady interrupts way too much. Hey, sir, I'm not your lady. Number one, I am not your lady. And maybe you'd be better off going somewhere else. Thank you. Goodbye. Who are these people? Some of us are cops who don't need the play-by-play. Good. There's about 100 other channels that you can go to. Anonymous. Yeah, real creative with the username there. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Here's the motion we didn't get a chance to go over yet. 690, number 690, Commonwealth's motion to introduce additional evidence of the nature of the defendant and victim's relationship. This might be a little over your head, Anonymous, so maybe you want to go somewhere else where somebody can explain it to you in more layman type terms. The Commonwealth moves to admit testimony through percipient witnesses who observed the defendant and victim's volatile and hostile relationship as it existed at the time of the victim's death. This was filed this morning, May 12th at 8:33 a.m. 4 weeks prior to the murder, the defendant became enraged at the victim for speaking to a female friend who was on their group vacation in Aruba and accused the victim of having an affair. Oh, really? Is he going to try and bring it in the Sullivan sisters? Oh, really? Okay, let's keep going. This incident was observed by numerous individuals who will testify to their personal observations of the incident, as well as to statements of the defendant in the immediate aftermath. Evidence of a defendant's prior bad acts may be admissible to prove opportunity, intent, preparation, plan, knowledge, pattern of operation, or common scheme or course of conduct, as long as the probative value of the evidence is not outweighed by the risk of unfair prejudice. Commonwealth v. Silva. The determination to admit such evidence based on timelines, place, character, or probative value is one for the trial judge to make and will be reversed on review only if palpably wrong. Citing a couple of other cases. Evidence of the Aruba incident was proffered by the defendant through a series of text messages between the defendant and Brian Higgins, thus opening the door for the Commonwealth to rebut the defendant's misleading and inaccurate claims about what had occurred weeks prior in Aruba. Oh, you knew the sleazebag was going to do this, didn't you? Didn't you know? Remember when Brennan said in open court, no, we're not going to introduce any evidence of Aruba, Your Honor, this trial. No, we don't intend to do that. Here it is. He just couldn't help himself. The defendant's misleading and inaccurate claims about what had occurred weeks prior in Aruba. You mean the text messages that Brian Higgins turned over to Proctor and Bukhenik when he was giving his statement? You mean those text messages that Higgins gave. This is disgusting. This is almost as disgusting as calling the niece and nephew to the stand, which they also intend to do. But, if you thought Hank was going to, try this case a different way and he just really wanted to get to the truth and he was really interested in a fair trial for Karen Reed. No, that was all a bunch of BS. Oh, here's the button for that. He goes on to say this incident in Aruba seems to also be the turning point in the relationship, as the defendant told Brian Higgins that her relationship with the victim was a very effed up situation, as she had observed the victim all over a friend's sister in the lobby of our hotel and accused the victim of having hooked up with another girl while in Aruba. In the January 29th, 22 voicemails previously entered into evidence, the defendant screams at the victim for apparently effing another girl. But he didn't say effing. He used the real F word in there because he has to, because he's Hank Brennan. And repeatedly refers to the victim as a pervert. There's also been evidence that prior to arriving at 34 Fairview Road, there was a reference to a woman the victim used to date. Yeah, who referenced that? JEN McCabe and Carrie Roberts both. JEN McCabe and Carrie Roberts. Isn't that awesome? They brought that in. They were trying to gaslight her. They brought in Bella's mom, and they brought in the fact that maybe some other women in the neighborhood that he used to date, maybe he was there. Maybe he went to their house. The defendant proffered the entirety of the text messages between herself and Brian Higgins, including the defendant's admissions about her feelings toward the victims and the nature of their relationship. The evidence proffered by the defendant also demonstrated a continuing animosity in the weeks and days prior to the victim's death. The jury should be permitted to hear from the witnesses of this Aruba incident, who will rebut the characterizations made by the defendant to Brian Higgins. Such testimony would be offered through Laura Sullivan, Marietta Sullivan, Erin O'Keefe, and the juvenile niece, who's already been named Kaylee. Wow. Just when we thought you couldn't suck any more than you really do. Here it is. Here it is. I mean, seriously, yeah, the jury hates you already, and it's based on the facial expressions that the reporters who are in the courtroom have been reporting. The jury already doesn't like the Commonwealth witnesses and already doesn't like Hank Brennan, but here's a good way to make them really hate you even more. Marietta Sullivan got on the stand during the first trial and said, Karen sucks. Yeah, it was classy. It was great testimony. And Brennan now wants to bring it in. If any of you thought that those text messages showed any motive for Karen to kill John, please let me know. Erin will love having to take the stand. Yes. Yeah. And the niece too. What's she going to testify about? She was 13 when this happened? Go on with your bad self, Brennan. He goes on to say, in a domestic violence homicide, now it's a domestic violence homicide. It's not a hit and run anymore. It's a domestic violence homicide. Evidence such as prior disputes are relevant to show the volatile nature of the relationship between the defendant and the victim in the weeks and months preceding the murder, and to explain the defendant's intent and state of mind toward the victim. Citing Commonwealth v. Dalin Wong, Commonwealth v. Rintala, Commonwealth v. Almeida, Commonwealth v. Oberle, Commonwealth v. Bonomi. We don't have a lot of time to read all of this right now, so I'll leave it here in case you want to come back to this screen and screenshot it and read it for yourself. That's all the case law. Look, he's actually citing case law today. Moreover, the state of mind exception to the hearsay rule calls for evidence of a murder victim's state of mind as proof of the defendant's motive to kill the victim, when there is also evidence that the defendant was aware of that state of mind at the time of the crime and would be likely to respond to it. Yeah. Evidence of and meanwhile, she had ghosted Higgins for 5 days before he texted her, when they were both in the bar together at the waterfall. And after the next morning, when she texted him at 11:30 something a.m., John died. Higgins never texted her again, but he was never looked at as a suspect. But let's do that. Let's bring in all the people who were in Aruba, who saw Karen yelling the F word at Marietta Sullivan. Let's do that. She was never charged with DV. There's no evidence of any history of DV in this relationship. And trust me when I tell you, and my retired law enforcement officers will tell you, that if there was any evidence of DV at the scene, she would have been collared. Even Yuriy Bukhenik said that he didn't believe that this was any sort of motive. He just thought that, Karen Reed was just trying to get a little revenge on John by flirting with Higgins. He didn't think they were flirtatious in nature. Remember, their own witness said that, right? Evidence of the defendant's prior conduct is permissible and highly probative to show the defendant's state of mind, to show the defendant's motive, to show the defendant's common pattern of behavior toward the victim, in particular, as demonstrated by previously admitted evidence that the defendant would become enraged and accuse the victim of cheating on her, and the nature of the defendant and victim's relationship. I'm going to break from this for a second to just say, the Commonwealth has the entire extraction of John O'Keefe's phone, the entire history of his phone, every text message that Karen and John ever exchanged. And the best that they can do is the messages from January 28th of 2022. Where are all the prior messages from the beginning, from the 2 years of their relationship up until that day? Where are all those prior crazy messages from Karen? Where are all those? Because if they had them, that they would totally be introducing those into evidence. They don't have anything. They've got nothing except the fight on the morning of the 28th about Karen bringing the niece to Dunkin' Donuts for iced coffee because he didn't want her having iced coffee, about her spoiling the kids. There's no history of this because there are no messages. They have his entire extraction. And the best that they can do is call in some people who they went on a trip with to Aruba on New Year's Eve, 2021 into 2022, to talk about what happened on that trip. They've got nothing else in his phone extraction. Give me a break. Give me a break. He concedes that he knows, Hank knows his case is tanking. And this is his last ditch effort to try and save it. Is it going to work? We'll see. Did she ever accuse him of cheating on her in any prior text messages? Did they ever have any conversations about that? Where are the text messages between Karen and John after the Aruba incident? Where are those? Do they exist? Because they would have brought him in if they did. I think the court is coming back. So that is basically what he wants to do now. Now Hank wants to bring in all of. Here, he says the Commonwealth is entitled to present as full a picture as possible of the events surrounding the incident. Where the defendant has opened the door, it is especially significant for the jury to understand that it was the defendant who repeatedly refused to accept the victim's desire, terminate their relationship. The defendants made repeated, why should there be proper English? Because there never is. The defendants made repeated hostile accusations that the victim was having an affair and that there was an established pattern of hostility occurring in the weeks and days preceding the murder. Where are those text messages? Where are they? They got nothing. They got nothing. This is what you call a Hail Mary. I haven't seen in my inbox any opposition to this yet, but it was just filed, I think, this morning. He says Massachusetts courts have repeatedly admitted evidence of prior bad acts to demonstrate a hostile relationship between the defendant and the victim because this hostility is relevant to the defendant's motive to harm or kill the victim. Well, that's what he wants to do. What do you think is going to happen? I'd love to hear argument on that today. That is one thing I would love to hear today. Let's pull the fan back up because it sounded like they put on the Zoom anyway. But no sound yet. She told them to come, the attorneys to come back at 1:35. And I think she said the jury could have 45 minutes for lunch. So that'd be around 1:45. I guess nothing should really surprise me anymore. But every day I continue to be surprised by the audacity and the just gross nature of this entire proceeding. Never should have been prosecuted as murder too. This is just ridiculous. And well, Wow. Just wow. Thanks, Michelle. The $1 million Brennan gets will go to Karen when she's found not guilty because he will be added to her lawsuit against the Commonwealth, MSP, and the McAlberts. Well, I don't know if he can be sued in his official capacity as attorney, but there will be, in my opinion, when this is all over, a very hefty civil case. CLK on X, picture side-by-side comparison of Brian Higgins' sweater from the bar video and video sweaters are different. Okay, I'm going to need a little bit more information than that. Who tweeted it? You know, thank you for that. I don't know. Matt 617 Boston says, well, you coming here? Hashtag tough guy. Hashtag sad man. But add a hashtag to that. Hashtag simp. All of AJ's Nichols was Erin O'Keefe in Aruba. That's interesting because now that I remember her testimony from the first, they were in Aruba at the same time, but they were in a different resort and they never met up, right? Isn't that what had happened? With Erin and Paul, they were at a different resort and I think they never met up. Why would she be called? Maybe Karen had some conversations with her after the fact about what happened in Aruba, I think. Great question. Thank you, Sunflower Day. See super chat from the morning video. I know it was, I thought I screenshotted it, but just give me a second because now I need to go back to the other video and find it. Hold, please. Hold, please. Oh, you put it up at the very, I mean, you put it in at the very end and I don't think that I saw it. So if you can just put it in again in just a regular comment like this, because you've been a member for 11 months, it will pop up on the column of StreamYard that I need to look at for super chats. So a Sunflower Day, that would be very helpful if you could do that. It'll just, don't pay. It'll come up in the correct column. That would make it easier for me. Thank you on top, you super sticker. Stephanie Flynn, my email about a quote goes into all this. Thank you, Stephanie. Norman, Hank cannot prove a car accident, so he's putting his hand in his diaper and throwing it on the wall. Well done. Looks like it. Magali says, as a retired HR director of many years, including recruiting and testing law enforcement for promotions, I'd like to offer my services in revising these particularly heinous individuals' resumes, no charge. Well, I don't think that you should help them at all. Thank you for your 20. And I think that was totally sarcastic, and I dig it.
You are unmuted.
We are unmuted. We are unmuted. Here we go. God save us from the Commonwealth for the afternoon stream and the continued cross-examination of Sergeant Yuriy Bukhenik, because of course he got a promotion after all this. Of course he did, because they all did. All did.
Please be seated. Court is in session.
All right, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. As a matter of housekeeping, I would ask that GG for identification be moved.
Yeah.
We have WD-40 for that. WD-40 emojis. It's always something squeaking in the courtroom, especially her chair. She likes to swing around in her chair. She likes to swing her glasses.
I'm so sorry. I did it again.
Oops, I did it again.
Yes, go right ahead, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you.
Love you
Just
guys.
before the lunch break, Sergeant, I asked whether you had engaged in a discussion with the Commonwealth at a prior proceeding in which you were shown a video and you talked about the fairness and accuracy of that particular video in the Sallyport when the SUV was first pulled in. And you indicated that you did indicate that it was fair and accurate, correct?
Yes, back then, yes. Yeah.
Back then I testified it was accurate, yeah, but now I changed my testimony.
I want to play a copy, a bit of that video, if I could, please, with the court's permission.
Okay, is it in evidence?
It is not. I would ask that we mark as next in order. Thumb drive.
Are we marking this for identification, or is there an agreement it's going into evidence?
I'd like it in evidence.
We agree with the stipulation that it's authentic.
I'm not going to argue metadata issues or authenticity issues, so.
They're stipulating that it's
Stipulation
authentic.
That this is authentic. Okay, so folks, again, a stipulation means the parties agree. And with that, I will allow this into evidence as the next.
It's live now.
exhibit.
Yeah, it's live.
Madam Court Reporter?
That's it.
Okay, now you may display it.
Thank you.
It's authentic, but it has no metadata.
Could we play beginning, what's the runtime, Mr. Wolk? This is at 5:37:03. If we could just play this forward for a couple of seconds,
That's not the time. That's just the
a little bit further,
point in the video.
pause. Do you see what's depicted in this video?
Yes, I do.
This is the video that you were shown at a prior proceeding, correct?
Yes, it is.
Does this appear to be the interior of the Sallyport at Canton PD?
Yes, it is.
And this is what you were questioned about regarding the SUV being pulled into the Sallyport, correct?
Yes.
From a time frame standpoint, just the time frame, this is right after the SUV has been driven in from the flatbed after having been seized in Dighton, correct?
Yes, it was driven off of the flatbed after transportation from Dighton to Canton PD
By
and
who?
driven into the Sallyport.
All right. You previously have identified individuals in this video, in this still shot, correct?
Yes.
And what you previously said, and then we'll get to subsequent testimony in a second, you previously indicated that the person to the right was you, person to the left, Michael Proctor, correct?
Yes. Previously, I identified that being Michael Proctor. I was mistaken. That is not me on the right.
That
Oh,
would be the tow truck driver, correct?
That's correct.
That is, in fact, Michael Proctor, however, in the two-tone jacket, correct?
I believe so.
Okay.
okay. So the tow truck driver is seen driving the car into the Sallyport, and then he takes what looks like a photograph of the front of the car. Really? They let the tow truck driver drive in the murder weapon? That's interesting to me. And that is Proctor towards the rear of the vehicle.
That is, in fact, Michael Proctor, however, in the two-tone jacket, correct?
I believe so.
Okay. And as the video is portrayed, at least as we're looking at it, and I'll get to the next question next, as we're looking at it, it appears that we're looking at the right passenger side of the vehicle, as it appears in this video, correct?
That's correct.
And you see a timestamp and a date stamp on the bottom, correct?
It is present. I don't know what it says.
Okay, can we highlight that just a little bit? Can you see what that says?
I believe it says interior Sallyport back wall,
Okay,
537, maybe.
okay.
Notice the dark blue.
When you
Writing.
indicated that this was a fair and accurate depiction of the interior Sallyport when the SUV was brought in, you were specifically asked whether or not you or Michael Proctor approached or manipulated or touched the right rear taillight area of the vehicle, correct?
I don't remember the exact verbiage used, but in
Funny thing. we have
something
a
along
trans-
those lines, that's what was asked.
And you indicated that neither of you did, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. But in point of fact, this video is backward, correct?
Yes, it is a mirror image of what is actually taking place as recorded by the camera.
Can we
mirror
play this forward?
image.
Do you see where Mr. Proctor, let's go ahead and pause it. Do you see where Mr. Proctor went?
Yes, the video depicts him going to that portion of the vehicle, but we can't tell how close he is.
Okay. And the back, from all appearances, importantly, it appears to be the back driver's side, back left of the vehicle, correct?
That's the way it appears, yes.
Yes. The old shell game, the old bait and
Play this
switch.
forward for a second.
Oh, the tow truck driver is going back into what looks like the passenger door, but it's
Pause.
really the driver's door.
Can I ask you to pay special note to the far rear side of the vehicle? Do you see what appears to be Mr. Proctor's head?
Yes.
As the tow truck driver walks past the rear of the vehicle, can you watch and tell me if you see Mr. Proctor do anything or move in any way? Let's go ahead and play it forward. Pause. Did you see any volitional movement by Mr. Proctor as the tow truck driver moved past him?
Yes, it appears if that is his head, it shifted weight.
Okay. Let's go ahead and play it forward. Stop. Did you see a person that appeared to morph toward the back of the vehicle? Right there.
Ghostly figure.
There is some anomaly there with the footage, so
Anomaly with the footage. Okay, you mean altering or proctoring? Watch, everyone. I'm going to play that back for you in case you've never seen this before. It looks like a ghost just appears at the rear of the Lexus. Watch. Oh.
Stop. Did you see a person that appeared to morph toward the back of the vehicle? Right there.
Morph.
there is some anomaly there with the footage, so it could possibly be used to describe that what took place.
Can you recognize that person?
I cannot know.
You indicated previously, does that person look large or small in stature
I can't tell.
as compared to, for instance, Michael Proctor, whose head you can see above the car? What about this person? Taller, shorter than Michael Proctor?
I can't tell from here. I can't.
You indicated that Chief Berkowitz was a smaller statured person, correct?
Oh,
I never said that.
I'm sorry?
I didn't know his height.
Larger or smaller?
you're a
Jim,
cop.
how about this? Larger or smaller than you?
He's shorter than me.
Okay.
How tall is he? How tall are you?
Can you
Yuriy?
tell whether or not that is Chief Berkowitz?
I cannot know.
Okay, let's go ahead and play it for him. And
Oh, there's
a little
Proctor.
bit further.
Proctor popping out from the taillight.
Pause. What does it appear that Mr. Proctor does at this point in the video?
He's walking.
Okay, do you see anything in his hand?
I cannot tell from the video, but he might be carrying something.
Remember we looked previously at a portfolio, black portfolio. Does it appear that he may have a black portfolio in his hand?
That is very likely, but I don't know exactly what he's carrying.
Okay, let's go
All
ahead.
right, let's just rewind that a little bit so we can see.
Carrying something.
Oops. So we can see for ourselves whether it looks like he has anything in his hand.
And a little bit further.
Watch.
Pause. What does it appear that
hard for me
Mr.
to
Proctor
tell.
does at this point in the video?
He's walking.
Okay. Do you see anything in his hand?
I cannot tell from the video, but he might be carrying something.
Remember we looked previously at a portfolio, black portfolio. Does it appear that he may have a black portfolio in his hand?
Yeah, with taillight pieces
That is
in it.
very likely, but I don't know exactly what he's carrying.
Okay, let's go ahead and play this forward.
Oh, look.
And did it appear that somebody just appeared at the front right, or sorry, the right-hand side of the screen toward the front of the SUV as well?
Yes, it appears that way. Yes.
Okay.
Look, another ghost, everyone. Come back to your screen for a sec. Okay, there's nobody there, right? It's like magic. This is like the magical mystery Sallyport. You can see Proctor walking off behind the vehicle. He's leaving the Sallyport, and watch how a person is going to appear on what looks like the driver's side of the vehicle, but is really the passenger side of the vehicle. Watch and learn how it's done in Canton.
Portfolio in his hand?
That is very likely, but I don't know exactly what he's carrying.
Okay, let's go ahead and play this forward.
There we go.
Okay. And did it appear that
Magic.
somebody just appeared at the front right,
It's magic.
or sorry, the right-hand side of the screen toward the front of the SUV as well?
Yes, it appears that way, yes.
Okay.
Another ghost.
Let's take this down. I'd like to mark.
Is it funny that he knows the word anomaly, but he doesn't understand the word theory? He needs a dictionary for theory, but he just throws out the word anomaly. I find that interesting.
I have another electronic device, a thumb drive, that has another video on it, Your Honor. I'd like to have that marked as next in order. Court permission.
All right, so there's no objection, Mr. Brennan?
No objection, thank you.
119.
With the court's permission,
Yes.
Yes.
now, Sergeant, what is this show?
It appears to be the mirror image of the previous footage. I don't know the exact timestamp there, but
Can we increase the date and time? Do you see, can you read the date and timestamp on this chyron?
I cannot now.
It's because it's backward, correct?
Ha.
I can't read it. I can't make it out, sir.
Can you make it any bigger, Mr. Wolk? Does that appear to be backward?
Based on me recognizing some of the digits, it does appear to be backwards.
Okay, let's look at the whole screen again. Sergeant, let's play this forward for just a quick second. Pause. Do you see Michael Proctor in this video?
I believe that's him. Yes.
And which side, and let's start with this. Do you agree that this is the correct version of the camera angle and the SUV as it pulled into the Sallyport?
This is the footage, the way that is depicted right now is very accurately very accurately represents what I remember from being there.
In fact, this side of the vehicle that we're looking at that's closest to us, that I'm highlighting on the screen to your right, that is in fact the driver's side of the vehicle, not the passenger side of the vehicle. Is that correct?
That is correct.
The far side over here would be the right rear of the vehicle, correct?
Yes, sir.
Which area is Michael Proctor walking to? The left rear or the right rear in this footage?
It appears if that's him, he's walking to the right rear of the vehicle.
Can we play this forward?
There he goes, right towards the taillight. Why is the tow
You
truck
see
driver putting his
Mr.
hands all over the
Proctor's
murder
head
weapon?
above the SUV,
Yes.
and watch him as the tow truck driver walks by. Did he appear to move?
He shifted weight, yes.
And it appears that there's
No-
another person
Another ghost.
that showed up in the footage, an anomaly of some sort, walking off screen left to right. Is that right?
That's what it appears, yes.
Is Mr. Proctor still at the right rear taillight area?
He's in that general vicinity, yes.
Let's go ahead and play it forward. A little bit further. Pause. Can you see anything in his hand? Let me just ask it closed in. Do you see the portfolio in his hand?
It would not be unlikely that it's there, but I can't tell exactly what it is in his hand.
Let's play it forward. Do you see anything in his hand now as his arm?
Yes, yes.
Does it appear to be consistent with the black portfolio that we saw earlier?
Yes, it is, yes.
Let's move forward.
Did it have taillight pieces
And
in
he's
it?
now off screen, correct?
Yes.
Who's pushing the
So-
broom?
In point of fact, Sergeant, when you were asked previously whether the prior video fairly and accurately depicted what you recall as it pertains to the SUV and the Sallyport, that was not quite true, correct?
I'll allow it.
The way I understood the question is what I'm watching accurately depicts what's taking place.
Mhm.
It is. Just because it's a mirror image doesn't mean that
Wow.
it's not recording what the actions and what is
Oh my
transpiring.
God.
You agree, at least, that the previous video showed exactly the opposite of what was true and correct, not just a mirror image. What is left is right, and what is right is left, correct?
Stages to that form.
Would you agree that in point of fact, a mirror image video is not a true and accurate depiction of what's depicted in a scene?
Yeah, it's the same. It's just, mirrored.
I think it just is a mirror image of what's taking place. If you see someone walking in or driving a vehicle and it's depicting the action of the vehicle being pulled in, and if it's mirrored, it's pulling in from left to right or right to left. It's still documenting the activity that's taking place.
You
Or some-
tried to dupe the worldwide public and the jury by saying it was a fair and accurate representation when the passenger side, what looked like the passenger side was really the driver's side. And what was the driver's side really looked like the passenger side. And now you're going to double down on that. You're really going to double down on that because it wasn't until cross-examination that was brought out. Keep digging. We have a shovel emoji. Keep digging. Hold on. All right. Ed Wallace is on the line. He says, play the video back when the guy's pushing the broom. The broom guy magically appears and someone enters the Sallyport garage by the door next to the right rear corner of the SUV. Okay. Watch. See this door right here by the back? Somebody's entering there when the broom guy appears. Watch. Thanks, Ed.
Let's move forward. And he is now off screen, correct?
Yep. Somebody comes in the door.
Yes.
Look, somebody's
So-
coming in the door.
In point of fact, Sergeant, when you were asked previously whether the prior video fairly and accurately depicted what you recall as it pertains to the SUV and the Sallyport, that was not quite true, correct?
No, it wasn't quite true.
The way I understood the question is what I'm watching accurately depicts what's taking place. It is. Just because it's a mirror image doesn't mean that it's not recording what the actions and what is
Oh.
transpiring.
But you would agree, at least, that the previous video showed exactly the opposite of what was true and correct, not just a mirror image. What is left is right, and what is right is left, correct?
Stages to that form.
Would you agree that in point of fact, a mirror image video is not a true and accurate depiction of what's depicted in a scene?
I think it just is a mirror image of what's taking place. If
Okay.
you see someone walking in or driving a vehicle and it's depicting the action of the vehicle being pulled in, and if it's mirrored, it's pulling in from left to right or right to left. It's still documenting the activity that's taking place.
Or if someone walks to the left rear of the vehicle versus the right rear of the vehicle, those two things will be switched, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And you'll agree that the prior video that we showed, that you and I just talked about, the inverted video, appeared for all intents and purposes to show Michael Proctor stay away from the left, from the right rear taillight, walk all the way around and position himself to the left rear taillight. You'd agree with that, correct?
Objection.
Do you agree with that?
It appeared that that is what was happening, but he was standing next to the taillight that was already damaged.
But in the corrected video, which is this one, it actually shows unequivocally that Michael Proctor walked directly to the right rear taillight portion of this SUV,
Which is a huge part of this case.
correct?
Huge.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. In the corrected video, this video here, this unequivocally shows that Michael Proctor walked toward the right rear area of that SUV, where the right taillight is, correct?
Yes.
And you'll also agree that this video was taken before any taillight material was ever found at 34 Fairview, correct?
Can you zoom in on the time?
Not on this one. This is backwards.
It's backwards. Not
I
on this
know
one.
that
It's backwards.
The SUV pulled into the garage at the Sallyport at 5:35, and we were still on scene at 5:51, almost 52. So, yes, if that's timestamp before 5:51, before we left Canton PD, then yes, taillight pieces had already been found.
So 5:35, 5:37 is before the first taillight pieces were found. Right.
I'd have to see a timestamp of when they were exactly found, but if
Well, let me
that,
ask it a different way.
There's no log.
5:37, 5:35 is before 5:45.
yes.
May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
Wow. Do we know exactly when the first taillight piece was found? No, because nobody kept a log, right? We're a little bit behind. Liza has something to say.
He is,
Hold on.
Sergeant, Canton PD is about 1.5 miles from 34 Fairview, is that right?
Look at Jim's face, the court clerk.
Approximately. I don't know the exact distance. I never measured it, but I would not be shocked if you were accurate in that.
Maybe
Would
a
you be
3 or
shocked?
4 minute drive.
Depending on the traffic conditions and the weather conditions, that could be a possibility, depending on the speed you travel.
Yeah, who came in that door? Was it Helena Rafferty?
I'm sorry. Your Honor, I have a photograph that I'd like to have marked with the court's permission. If I may approach.
Marked for identification.
Mocked, M-O-C-K-E-D, mocked for identification. This whole thing is a mockery. I can't even believe he doubled down on saying that was, it's like, it's just like a mirror. It's like everything that's happening is happening.
May I approach?
Yes. Let's mark it first, please.
Yes, Trooper Paul's pirouette. How long to get there at 24 miles an hour in reverse? Excellent, excellent. Well done.
Let me take a look.
Thank you. Let me ask you a couple of other questions. We just looked at the videos of the interior of the Sallyport. Harkening back to what we just looked at, the corrected video, there would also be a camera on the other side of that Sallyport garage pointing down toward the right rear taillight area of the SUV, correct?
Yes.
There's a camera situated on the opposite side. We'd be looking at that camera, correct?
Yes.
Okay, taking a look at that photograph, I know the quality of it, but can you tell if that appears to be a still image from that camera?
Yes, it appears to be a still image from that video camera.
I'd ask that this be moved into evidence, Your Honor.
Is there an objection?
No objection.
Is there an objection? She really, really wants you to object. Apparently, she's helping you here. He didn't take the assist, though. He didn't take the life raft.
Thank you. If we could display this for the jurors, Your Honor, just the photograph.
Okay.
Do you see what's depicted? I know the photograph that you're holding is very poor quality. It's a little easier with this lighting. Do you recognize what's depicted in this photograph?
I'm sorry, your laser was bouncing off on the ceiling. I
I was trying to make
apologize.
it easier for you.
Yeah.
This photograph here.
That appears to be the seized SUV
Oops.
belonging to the defendant, with it being situated inside the Sallyport.
And what is that vehicle there?
It's an antique police cruiser.
And who is this person?
A bald
I
head.
do not know who that is.
Does that look like Michael Proctor?
Don't know. I'd have to get a zoom in.
Everybody's
I don't
bald,
know.
so could be anyone.
Would that be, does he have glasses on?
I don't know.
Would it be Chief Berkowitz?
Chief Berkowitz.
It could be Chief Berkowitz. I don't know.
Remember, Berkowitz was on medical leave.
Can you tell me the date that's on the the date and timestamp at the bottom?
I cannot. I think I might be able to make it out in the actual photograph you printed out. Could I
Okay.
take a look at that?
Sure.
January 30th, 2022. Wasn't Berkowitz on
Yes, please, Your Honor.
medical leave? He's now at the Endless Heaven Buffet. He passed away. I'm not sure. I think he was sick or something, but he's no longer there. So, you know, no big whoop.
It appears the time is 11:08 and 59 seconds in the morning of possibly January 30th of 2022.
Okay. Let's go ahead and pull this back out full frame.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you, do you have a point of reference? Does that appear to be the interior camera facing the other direction where the SUV was depicted in the Sallyport earlier?
It's the opposite of what we had viewed earlier, diagonally across, I believe.
So this would be the right rear of the vehicle, correct?
That is correct.
Now I'd like to ask you to take a look at a video. Now that we have that point of reference, I have a
Wow.
video.
Will they use Berkowitz as a scapegoat? That's interesting because, you know, he can't defend himself anymore. They never had that video before, right? Oh, he's having a conversation with Brennan. Berkowitz is rehomed. We're a little behind. We have a little room to move about the cabin.
I can have that marked as next in order, Your Honor.
No objection to that being entered, no.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, could we present this? Go ahead and play it. Pause.
Can't see a damn thing.
Can you make out, now that that's paused, can you make out what's depicted toward the top of the screen?
Yes, it appears to be a distorted image of that antique police cruiser.
Okay. And does the area next to the police cruiser appear to be empty? Some snow on the ground?
Yes, it does. Actually, yes, it does look that way. Yes.
Okay. So there's nothing next to the police cruiser, at least at this point, correct?
That's what it appears to be. Yes.
Can we take a look at the timestamp on this document or on this frame?
Oh, look how clear that is.
I'd ask you to let the jurors know if you can see what the actual time run time is on this.
I could see the timestamp. I don't know the runtime, what it's going to be.
It's 5:07, 10 or 12, something like that.
That's the
5:07?
timestamp. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. PM.
January
Just
29th,
play this forward, go back to
5:07.
full screen.
Wait, 5:07? Is Karen's car in that video from 5:07? Hold on.
Pause. Now, how many seconds would you estimate, just in your head, just went by?
So
In
it was
real
January
time.
29th.
Approximately 5 seconds.
Okay. Do you see something in the video now?
Yes.
What is that?
It appears to be the seized Lexus SUV.
And now let's look at the timestamp.
5:50.
What time is that?
Oh,
5:47 p.m.
So in about, according to your testimony, in about 5 seconds,
uh-huh.
time jumped from before the SUV was in the Sallyport to about 5:50 p.m. after the SUV
Wow.
had already arrived and is now situated in the Sallyport, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
The time frame that we just saw earlier of about 5:35, 5:36 or so with you and, I'm sorry, with the tow truck driver and Michael Proctor in the video. That is not in this video. It's not captured in this video.
It did not present itself, no.
43 minutes of video missing from that clip. You know how easy it is to change a timestamp on the bottom? Time does drift, don't you know?
That's all I have now.
That's it?
Brennan?
He's done? Oh, wow. Redirect? I wonder what the jury's doing now. Okay, we're on redirect. This should take us through the end of the day, I would think, right? It's 2:16. Oh, he's got a big binders now. Brennan's big binders.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
You had just asked questions about some of the video footage from the Canton Police Department Sallyport area. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask you further questions about that. In your investigation, did you obtain camera footage from a number of different angles from the Canton Police Department Sallyport area?
I did.
And one of those series of footages, did that include the interior Sallyport back wall for January 29, 2022?
Yes, it is.
Is that the video that appears inverted? And then we saw the second where it was present as you would see it?
Yes, sir.
Did you look at that video? Did you invert the video in any way?
No, I did not.
He laughed.
Did you investigate and learn whether or not there was any other video in addition to that interior Sallyport back wall where video was set up by the town of Canton that appears inverted rather than forward?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Yes, the investigation revealed that multiple cameras had a lens applied to it that was inverted.
Oh, so
In
you investigated
addition-
that, but you never investigated any other suspects. But when it comes to defending yourselves against an inverted video, then you investigate. Okay, got it. Cool.
To the Canton Police Department Sallyport interior back wall, where else did you learn around town there was video that appears inverted?
I believe it is inside the Canton PD, the hallways, possibly. And if I am not mistaken, the other locations within the town of Canton. And the,
Objection, Your Honor.
Other cameras within the
That's
town of Canton.
question. No, is that your answer? Is that your final answer?
I wasn't
Is
finished.
that your
but yes.
final answer? Are we on a game show? Are we on a game show now? What was that game show? Is that your final answer? Would you like to phone a friend, Yuriy? Would you like to phone a friend? Is that your final answer? I'm sorry. Are we just going to allow him to ask improper questions because it's his final answer? Is that a legal basis for overruling an objection, Your Honor? Is that, are you helping? Are you coaching the witness? I can't even believe this is real. I can't even believe this is real. Because oh, look at this smirk. Hold on. Wow. Just wow. Freeze game on point. How many more lifelines are you going to throw him, Judge? How many more? All of them? We just looked at some Canton PD hallway footage. Was the logo on Higgins' sweatshirt inverted? Because that would be a tell, wouldn't it? Listen,
Always, possibly.
the hallways.
And if I am not mistaken, the other locations within the town of Canton and the
Totally objectionable.
Ask the question. No, is that your answer? Is that your final answer?
I wasn't finished, but yes.
Please approach. My head has popped off. It is now rolling to the Long Island Sound. Who knows where it'll be? Could be drowned by the time this mishigas of a witch trial is over. But yeah, he'll just say that that's the way the camera
The
records.
answer, jurors, I'm going to strike the
Thanks.
portion of the answer that follows hallways of the Canton PD.
Yeah, the part where he said other cameras in the town of Canton also recorded in an inverted manner.
And sir, when you obtained the video from the interior Sallyport back wall, which was inverted, did you provide a copy of it?
Yes, I did.
When you looked at that video, does it have time and date stamps on it?
Yes, it does.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'd like to introduce a copy of that.
Is that your final answer? On top, would like to phone Webster's Dictionary for $100, please. Thank you.
When you provided the video for January 29, 2022 for that inverted video, did you do any further investigation to see if it was an anomaly that happened just on that date, or whether that was historically the way the video appeared?
Historically.
I'll look into that matter, produced the fact that it's been recording that way previously to January 29th.
Why did you want to historically go back and see if it was historically the same way?
To show that it had not been manipulated or altered in any way, and it was accurately recording what was taking place on January 29th, 2022.
You know what's so funny about that, for those of you who don't know? They didn't look into that until after the first trial was over and there was a mistrial because there was a hung jury. And also they had put it out there that this Canton PD Sallyport video system overwrites itself every 30 days. But now he's going to tell you that all of a sudden they came up with video from earlier in January that also shows it was inverted, because you just can't make this up. And that's so funny because it wasn't until 2.5 years later when they went back to investigate that.
Part of the investigation was the video taken from January 1st, 2022.
They found
Yes.
some video from January 1st,
Is that
2022.
before January 29, 2022?
Yes, it is.
I'd like to approach and move to introduce this.
It's a magical mystery Sallyport video that just magically revealed itself after the mistrial from January 1st of 2022. That is so crazy. Thank you, Jet Wilson.
Do you know how many cameras are inside the Sallyport?
I don't know exactly. I know that there's at the very least 2 inside the Sallyport.
You were shown a still photograph,
investigated.
not from the inverted video, but from a different video or a different camera.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember that photograph?
I do.
And you were asked about gaps in time.
Mhm.
Do you know what the health was of that camera around that time?
The health of the
I
camera.
do not know.
Did you obtain and look at video from that camera?
The health.
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
A camera is now a living, breathing thing that is healthy or unhealthy. Did the camera have cancer like the rest of your department? You're like a cancer to the state of Massachusetts.
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It's the Sallyport videos, the original disc or thumb drive. I apologize. Not
Oh,
disc.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay.
When you saw that dark photograph, you later saw a picture that was clearer, and you were asked questions about that. Do you know whether or not the video from that Sallyport area was clarified?
It was.
What does clarified mean?
It means it was enhanced to look clearer.
Oh,
that image you saw, was that a clarified photograph taken from the video that was not clarified?
It appears that way, yes.
you know
you
who
don't need a dictionary
clarified
for
the
Brennan's
video?
questions.
I do not know.
Got it.
May I approach?
Yes.
He doesn't need a dictionary when Brennan's that bad. Not funny. We have a little room to scooch.
Yes, ma'am. Getting you a zip drive, you know what is on that?
A zip drive.
Yes,
What is it?
it's Sallyport clarified video from the front wall.
Thank you. I moved into this. This is an exhibit.
Clarified like butter,
No objection, Mr. Jackson?
like butter.
No objection.
Clarified butter
With
is the
court
only way to
permission,
eat
I
your
play a portion
lobster.
of the clarified video
Right,
for
guys?
the jury.
Yes.
With Ms. Gilman's assistance, could you take us to the clarified video of the Sallyport, and could you take us to about 5:35?
Ms. Gilman, you have one job. One job, Ms. Gilman. Okay, well, she doesn't seem to be able to find the video.
Questions I can proceed with?
Oh,
As
wow.
Ms. Gilman searches, I have other questions I can proceed with.
Okay, we'll turn the light on again, please. Go ahead, thank you.
Did you obtain video of outside the Sallyport to show what time the tow truck arrived with the defendant's Lexus?
Yes, it did.
Did you alter all the
May I approach?
timestamps on all the videos or just a couple? They seem to be different colors to me, but what do I know? I'm not a video expert.
You recognize it?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
It's a disc containing CPD exterior Sallyport video.
Move to introduce this, please. No objection, Your Honor. Similarly, did you obtain video from the front driveway of the Canton Police Department depicting the arrival of the defendant's Lexus?
Yes.
May I approach again, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Hand you another item. Do you recognize this, sir?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
It's Canton PD driveway video.
And is this a copy of the video you obtained?
Yes, it is.
I would move this into evidence. No objection.
Thank you.
Exhibit 127.
Look at Stephanie at the Kendrick Lamar show at Gillette Stadium working over there and watching the show. Hey,
Do
Stephanie.
you recall when you arrived with the defendant's Lexus on January 29, 2022, what time you reached the Sallyport?
To the best of my recollection, it was 5:35
So crazy.
p.m. is when the vehicle was placed into the Sallyport.
So crazy because on the search warrants, Proctor said you seized the car at 5:30. You're saying you got back to the Sallyport at 5:35? It was like chitty chitty bang bang all the way from Dighton to the Sallyport in 5 minutes, which is like 40 miles in a blizzard. Yeah, okay. Trust me, bro.
When you left Dighton after the tow truck lifted the defendant's Lexus and put it on the tow truck, did you follow the tow truck back to Canton?
Yes, I did.
Did the tow truck stop at any point between Dighton and Canton Police Department?
Other than red traffic lights, no.
No coffee,
When
no
you were following,
donuts.
how were you following the tow truck?
I was keeping a safe distance, always keeping line of sight behind the vehicle. I was following it from Dighton residence all the way to Canton PD.
Was Michael Proctor with you in your truck?
Yes, he was.
Did you take any detours on your trip back to the Canton Police Department?
No, we followed the truck driver. He led the way.
At any point, did you take any turns to Fairview Road?
No,
Did you
That's something
know
funny,
whether
Mr.
or not there was a
Bukhenik.
CERT team at Fairview Road searching while you were driving back to the Canton Police Department?
I knew one was dispatched. Yes.
Did you go to Fairview Road to speak to any of the CERT team members?
No,
Did you watch the CERT team members conduct their search?
no, I did not.
In any way, did you, at any point during that search, see it happening?
No, I did not. No.
When the CERT team members were there, do you remember that they arrived at 4:54 and 4:56?
I don't have a specific memory, but I know that they arrived sometime between that hour.
When you arrived at the Sallyport, at the Canton Police Department with the defendant's Lexus, what was your understanding of where the CERT team was?
My understanding was they were at 34 Fairview.
When you first arrived,
No,
around
remember
5:30
there's no dash cam video of this because didn't he say earlier they had to take a personal vehicle all the way to Dighton because none of the vehicles for Massachusetts State Police had any four-wheel drive. So of course they had to take a personal vehicle, right? Chat, you can correct me if I'm wrong. So of course there's no dash cam video of them following the tow truck all the way back to Canton. No, why would there be? Right.
7 at
34 Fairview.
the CERT team was.
My understanding was they were at 34 Fairview.
When you first arrived around 5:37 at the Canton Police Department, were any members of the CERT team at the Canton Police Department?
Objection.
I'll allow it. Lay a foundation.
Now,
Sure, you
I
said you
asked,
couldn't
do you remember
recognize
what
half the
time you got
people in
back
that
to the Canton
video.
Police Department. Do you know specifically what time you got back?
I know we pulled in to the driveway at 5:30 p.m.
And did you see some of the timestamps that you were shown on cross-examination?
Yes,
Did you see the timestamp 5:37:18 when it was shown to you by the defense?
yes.
At that time, when you were arriving and bringing the defendant's Lexus into the Sallyport, was there any CERT team members at the Canton Police Department?
No,
Were there any troopers who were speaking to you or receiving items or evidence from you or Trooper Proctor?
absolutely not.
Was there any items exchanged between you and or Trooper Proctor and anybody else for that matter that you saw?
No,
While you were at the Canton Police Department in the Sallyport area, do you remember how long you stayed in that area?
approximately 15, 20 minutes.
And so you were asked when the first items were found at Fairview Road. Do you remember?
Thank you, Mark. They never took a picture of the taillight during that entire time. Did Alan Jackson ask him if he took a photo of the taillight? The cross was like 3 days long, so I don't remember. But I think he did at one point say, didn't you have a phone in your pocket? You could have taken a picture. You didn't. I think he did ask him that, but it was so long ago. I don't remember now.
That it was around 5:45?
Yes,
So at the time those items were first found at Fairview Road, where were you and Michael Proctor?
at Canton Police Department.
When you were at the Canton Police Department and you had brought the Lexus back, did you ever see Michael Proctor leave the Canton Police Department without you?
No,
You ever see him hop in a car and take a drive,
no,
a 3-minute drive or a 4-minute drive?
no,
Did you ever see him leave for a 6-minute, 7-minute trip?
Objection, Your Honor.
You've made your point. Next question.
When you were at the Canton Police Department, were you separate or with Michael Proctor?
we were together. Not obviously tied at the hip, but we were within eyesight, traveling together.
After you left
We couldn't even admit that the video was inverted. Greg, the tow truck driver is on the witness list, so it'll be interesting.
the Sallyport area, did you and Michael Proctor immediately leave the Canton Police Department?
No, we stuck around.
Why did you stick around at the Canton Police Department?
Why not go to the
To
scene?
make sure that Evidence was
investigate.
properly being protected with yellow tape around it. And we were making plans to go get dinner.
When you were making plans, did you go any
So your meal, your dinner was more important than going to the scene of the alleged murder and actually visiting the scene of the murder on the day of the murder. Your dinner, sir, was more important than that. And you had to secure the alleged murder weapon, the vehicle, with the crime scene tape. But you know what they never did? Secure the scene with crime scene tape. In fact, they left it unattended for more than 8 hours while something like 18 inches of more snow fell. So it could have been anybody's taillight pieces that were thrown on the lawn at 34 Fairview during the 8-hour period that crime scene was left unattended. Think about that. Wow. He remembers making dinner plans. Yes, he did. He did.
anywhere else in the police department?
Making plans with yellow tape around it. And we were making plans to go get dinner.
When you were making plans, did you go anywhere else in the police department after you left the Sallyport area?
Yes, I believe we went to the conference room.
Was there anybody else that you saw in the police department when you went to the conference room with Mr. Proctor?
I remember talking to Chief Berkowitz in the police department. We were in the dispatch area at one point in time as well. So there was multiple people that observed us there.
Mhm.
At any point, did you give any items to Chief Berkowitz?
No,
At any point, did you ever see Michael Proctor hand or give an item to Chief Berkowitz?
absolutely not.
You said Michael Proctor had a folder with him.
Yes,
Is that
Portfolio.
typical in an investigation?
yes.
Did you ever see him place taillight or any item in that folder?
No, that would be absurd.
Did you ever see him?
That would be absurd. Did you ever see him take any notes? Because that would be absurd if he didn't take notes, but he didn't do that either. But to you, the most absurd part of this would be for him to put taillight pieces inside his little zip up portfolio. This is insane. Insane.
Him retrieve an item or
Let's
taillight
hear him say that would be absurd again. What's absurd is you needing a dictionary.
in an investigation?
Yes,
Did you ever see him place taillight or any item in that folder?
no, that would be absurd.
Did you ever see him retrieve an item or taillight pieces and give it or sneak it over to Chief Berkowitz?
Objection, Your Honor.
Did you ever see Michael Proctor ever hand any piece of taillight to Chief Berkowitz or any other
They weren't attached at the hip.
officer for that matter?
No,
The entire time you were there, did either you or Michael Proctor, from what you saw, provide any items, physical items, to anybody else that was there?
Objection, Your Honor.
no, we did not.
Yeah, approach. No, there was no photo of the taillight before it was towed. No, sure wasn't. We're a little behind, so we can scooch a little bit.
May I?
Yes.
At any point from when you first arrived at the Canton Police Department with the defendant's Lexus to the point when you left to go to dinner or to get something to eat with Michael Proctor, did you ever provide any physical item to anybody at the Canton Police Department?
No, other than dropping off the vehicle itself, we did not exchange anything.
Oh, don't say we, I'm just asking for you. Now I'm going to ask you, at any point when you got to the Canton Police Department until you left to go to eat with Michael Proctor, did you ever see him hand any physical item to any other person whatsoever?
No, I did not.
And after, do you know about what time you and Michael Proctor left the Canton Police Department?
I would have to estimate it to be around 6, maybe well after 6.
And at the point you left, do you know how many of the items had been found by the CERT team at 34 Fairview Road at the time you left the Canton Police Department?
Objection.
When you left with Michael Proctor, where did you go?
I went to Norwood, Massachusetts.
Is that where you ate?
Yes,
What's in Norwood? Did you go to
left
D&E?
and then arrived in Norwood, did you stop along the way at any other place, including but not limited to 34 Fairview Road?
I did not.
Did you eat?
Yes,
After you ate, where did you go?
back to Canton Police Department.
Why?
We were having a debrief for that day on the investigation so that everybody could get on a good understanding of what had been learned, what had been collected, and where the investigation stood, and to assign tasks on the next steps.
Who were you meeting at the Canton Police Department when you returned?
It was the Detective Lieutenant Tully, members of the Norfolk SPDU.
Do you know at about time you returned to the Canton Police Department?
How far is Norwood from
I
Canton?
want to say it was after 7:30, but I'm not positive.
When you left the place that you and Mr. Proctor ate at and returned to the Canton Police Department, did you take a swing by Fairview Road?
No,
Did you stop anywhere from the point you left where you ate and came back to the Canton Police Department?
no, sir.
When you came back to the Canton Police Department, did you get debriefed?
Yes,
Did you learn whether or not the CERT team had found any physical items at Fairview Road?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
yes, I did.
Did they give you any details about what they had found at Fairview Road during the CERT team search?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
I learned that
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow this.
She's going to allow it and
a-
not give a
the
sidebar.
second sneaker was located. Also, a large piece of red taillight was also located.
Oh, a large piece, because Canton PD is so
After you-
incompetent, they couldn't find it in snow that was so light they could track a cat. Or maybe that was in the evening. How about the sneaker that you pulled out of the bag and said it was from 34 Fairview? It was a right sneaker, but it was really the left sneaker that was there. So now you've opened the door to more sneaker questions. Yeah, and if the roads were so treacherous, why would you go to Norwood for dinner? Great question, Glamasseuse. Second sneaker and a large piece of red tail light. Well done.
Piece of red taillight was also located.
After you were debriefed, did you leave the Canton Police Department?
Yes.
Who did you leave with, if anybody?
It was myself, Trooper Proctor, and Trooper Keefe, I believe.
When you left the Canton Police Department, do you know what time that was?
I do not, but I would have to estimate to be around 8 o'clock, maybe 8:15.
Did you leave alone?
I was in my truck, yes.
Did you
So,
see
Mr.
where?
Brennan, what I'm going to do is just interrupt you for a minute. Folks, a couple of minutes ago, when Sergeant Bukhenik testified as to what he learned at the debriefing, that's not offered to you for the truth of what he said was learned, but only so you understand that the police, what Sergeant Bukhenik and the police knowledge was at the time, that it was told.
Oh, I see. She overruled herself in letting that in because Alan Jackson did fiercely object to that. I said, no, I'll allow it. And now she instructs the jury that it's not offered for the truth of the matter. It's only offered for what now? To show that they were debriefing what?
What he said was learned, but only so you understand that the police, what Sergeant Bukhenik and the police knowledge was at the time.
That's Sergeant Bukhenik and the police were increasing knowledge. I think the captions are wrong, but who knows what she says or why she's saying it? Nobody. It's the magical mystery courtroom of Kim Jong-Kanone under her eye, everyone. Praise Kier.
That it was told. Go ahead, Mr. Brennan.
Thank you. When you drove away, were you alone?
Yes.
Okay. When the Lexus was brought to the Sallyport, did you have a chance to again look at that right rear taillight?
Yes.
And did you make observations of it?
Yes.
Did you take a picture of it? Did you take a picture?
Which one's the right rear taillight?
Anyone? Bueller? Anyone take a picture? No.
The right rear taillight.
I can hear him talking about the right rear taillight on the hot mic, but can't tell who he's talking to. Brennan.
While you were at the Canton Police Department and in the Sallyport area, did you ever see anybody take a piece or in any way remove part of that broken taillight from the Lexus?
No, I did not.
If you had, what would have you done?
Objection.
Sustained.
If you had, what would you have done?
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes. Show Mr. Jackson.
Can I have Exhibit 13 displayed, please?
Okay.
Could you zoom in a little, please, Ms. Gilman?
Yeah.
Do you
That's
recognize that
realistic.
photo?
I do.
What do you recognize it as?
I recognize it as the damaged and missing pieces of the right rear taillight on the defendant's Lexus SUV.
Yeah.
When
Okay.
the
You're not looking
Lexus
at your-
brought into the Sally,
If you're not looking at your screen, come back and look at your screen now. Look at that. The entire right section, entire red section of not just the rear, but also the corner pieces of that taillight are all missing. And then when you zoom in really, really closely, you can see like tool marks and stuff around it. Wow. Just wow. There's also some glass on the bumper here, but we're going to find out later when the MSP crime techs come in that the glass on the bumper did not match the cocktail glass or any other glass at the scene. So, you know, big fail. He's going to say this is the way he saw it in Karen's parents' driveway in Dighton. Okay. Right. Trust me, bro. Here we go. Or brah, depending on who you ask.
recognize that photo?
I do.
What do you recognize it as?
I recognize it as the damaged and missing pieces of the right rear taillight on the defendant's Lexus SUV.
When the Lexus was brought into the Sallyport, was there still snow on it?
Yes, there was.
Was there any snow on it that covered parts of the vehicle?
Yes, there was.
Was there any snow in that area
Currently, no.
when you
Currently?
first brought it into the Sallyport?
I'm sorry, in the area of the vehicle?
No, the area of that taillight.
Yes, there was, yes.
How close did you get to take a look at that?
I was within a foot of it.
Is that a
Yeah.
fair and accurate depiction of what you saw?
Yes, it is.
From what you saw, was the damage you saw when you looked at the car for the first time in the Sallyport area any different than the damage that appears on this Exhibit 13?
It is not.
As part of your investigation, did you look for, you can take that down, please, and lights on, thank you.
Yeah,
Did you look
except
for other,
here's the thing. When we saw Karen back into John's car, because remember, Yuriy Bukhenik did admit finally that it does appear that the cars collided and that the wheel of the Traverse moved when he was shown the close-up of the video. When she drove off, her taillights certainly didn't look like that then. No, sure didn't.
evidence that the taillight was broken before it came into the Sallyport area?
Yes, I did.
Did you have a chance to view the ring video from Meadows Road at 5:07 in the morning?
Yes, I did.
And when you looked at that, did you have an opportunity to look at the defendant's Lexus backing up and then leaving that driveway?
Yes, I did.
Did you have a chance to see if there was any evidence?
Yes, I did.
And what did you see that stood out to you about the taillight?
The taillight is shining white and not covered by a red taillight cover, which would have produced a red light.
Did you further look at any video from the Canton Police Department dash cams to get a view of that taillight and determine whether it was broken before it was even brought to the Sallyport area?
Yes, I did.
And did you in fact look at video or still photographs from the Canton Police Department dash cam?
Yes, I did.
Could I have Exhibit 11 displayed, please? And during your investigation, when you were making this analysis, did you
See
view this
anything in this
photo?
picture?
Yes, I did.
It's covered in
Did you
snow.
make any particular reference or anything that caught your attention in this video?
Yes, the right rear taillight of the Lexus SUV is missing the red lens cover, and it is damaged.
You mentioned the
Right.
observations. You can take that down, please. You mentioned your observations when you got to Dighton about what you saw relative to the taillight. And then at some point, video was provided of the tow.
Yes,
Did you study that video as well?
yes, I did.
And did you see anything in particular when you were making these determinations that stood out about the video of the Lexus being put onto that tow truck relative to the taillight?
Yes, the video indicated that there was white light coming through, exposing the missing red right rear taillight cover.
You told us on direct examination you've watched a number of videos and interviews of the defendant.
Yes,
Without getting into the content, did you watch any videos where the defendant talks about the broken taillight prior to the Sallyport?
In that form, I'll sustain it.
Did you listen to any interviews of the defendant relative to the taillight?
yes,
Now, I want to go back and I want you to take us through your investigation. And I want to be specific about what you learned and when and what you did with that information relative to the decisions and the direction of your investigation. When you were called on the morning of January 29, 2022, when you first got a call, where were you?
I was at home in bed.
You mentioned that after you received the call, you called another trooper at that time.
Yes, sir.
And who was that?
Michael Proctor.
After you spoke to Michael Proctor, did you have any firsthand knowledge about what had happened prior?
No, I did not.
Did you have any firsthand knowledge about what had happened the night before?
I did not. No.
Did you have any firsthand knowledge about the participants or the people that may or may not have been involved?
I did not. No.
Did you at that point know or were you friendly with Brian Albert?
I knew who he was. I was not friendly with him. I did not know who he was.
Had you ever socialized with him?
No.
Nicole Albert?
No.
Were you friendly or ever socialized with her?
No, I've never.
Jennifer McCabe? Did you know who she was or socialize with her?
No, I did not.
Her husband, Matthew McCabe, did you know him or socialize with him?
No.
How about Julie Nagel? Did you know who she was or had you socialized with her?
No, I did not.
Ryan Nagel, is that name, was that familiar to you?
No, it's not.
Sarah Levinson, did you know that person?
I did not.
You mentioned that you knew who Brian Higgins was,
Yes.
and you had worked on a case or some involvement in a case with him.
Yes.
Did you owe him any particular favor or kindness at that time?
Oh, something funny, Mr. Bukhenik?
Did you have any loyalty or friendship with him?
I'll allow that.
I did not. No.
At this point, you were how far into your career as a Massachusetts?
You didn't need any. He's a cop. You're a cop. There could be a thin blue line sometimes, people. It's real. It's out there, and not with the good cops, but nobody hates a bad cop more than a good cop. Where's the Boston PD support in all this? Oh, you haven't seen them, have you? Nope.
Did you have any loyalty or friendship with him?
I'll allow that.
I did not. No.
At this point, you were how far into your career as a Massachusetts State Police officer?
Not far enough.
In 2022, I was approximately 10 years in.
And you had been honorably discharged from the military,
Yes, I was.
served the president.
Yes.
Serve the president.
And so at this point, how about Heather Maxon? Did you know that name?
I did not know.
Yeah, because nobody had interviewed her
When you
yet
first
until like a year and a
received
half
the call,
later.
did you have
So
any
crazy.
firsthand knowledge whatsoever?
No, just what I was told over the phone.
You mentioned you went to the Canton Police Department first and spoke to Canton police officers.
Yes.
Was it at that point you learned about a physical item that was found at the scene?
Sustained.
What did you learn from them that was important in your investigation when you first got to the Canton Police Department?
I learned that there was a broken, shattered cocktail glass that was recovered from near where Mr. O'Keefe was found. And also his phone was underneath him at the scene.
And were both those items available to you?
Yes.
Did you also learn any statements made from any witnesses that were attributed to the defendant at that time?
Yes.
And what was the statements?
At that point in time, while at the Canton Police Department, the statements were, "Oh my God, did I hit him? Did I hit him?"
In a
Questions.
question format, questioning.
Yes.
And based on that information, was it somewhere around that point when you called the hospital or medical examiner's office?
Yes, I made a call to the medical examiner's office.
Is that all the information you learned that morning?
No, it's not.
After you learned that information, did you ask the police officers? Well, let me ask it this way. After you learned that information, did you want to go somewhere?
Yes, I did.
Where did you want to go?
I wanted to interview the individuals that were with the defendant when Mr. O'Keefe was located and get their accurate and most first-person information from them directly.
Oh, don't glitch on me now. Lena says, what restaurant in Norwood was open during the blizzard? Where was Kevin?
Differently witnesses.
At this point in time, prior to speaking to them, I just knew that they were eyewitnesses for the location of Mr. O'Keefe, but I did not know if they were eyewitnesses or witnesses.
And who did you speak to?
I spoke with Ms. Jennifer McCabe, Mr. McCabe, and Mr. Brian Albert.
When you spoke to them,
Well, out of those
did you
three, only
separate
one
them
of
or speak to
them
as a-
was there when the body was found, and that was Jennifer McCabe. So Brian Albert was inside his house, never came out because, you know, he didn't wake up. Chloe didn't wake him up because Chloe wasn't there, according to Jen McCabe. And so out of those three very important witnesses that were there when the body was found, only one of them was actually there when the body was found. So thank you, Will Wallace, for your 20. Free Karen Reed and real justice for John O'Keefe.
group.
I separated them.
You went to whose house to speak to them?
The McCabe household.
Is it typical to go to a person's house rather than bring them to the station under these circumstances?
Ask it differently, Mr.
Why did you go to their house rather than ask them to come to the police station?
Well, there were multiple factors involved in that decision. One, the driving conditions.
Oh,
Two, these are witnesses that had suffered some sort of traumatic event finding their friend on the front lawn.
the only one who found the friend on the front lawn was Jennifer McCabe. And from what we saw in the video, she was out by the car the whole time. She says she does chest compressions, but all that is new too. Brian Albert didn't suffer any trauma. Matt McCabe didn't suffer any trauma. In fact, he let his wife go out in white out conditions to go find John O'Keefe. He didn't jump in the car to do it. Neither did Carrie Roberts' husband, by the way. And it was so treacherous driving that you couldn't ask them to drive down to the Canton PD, but you could go to Norwood for dinner. Okay, got it. Perfect. Yep. Let's keep moving.
Some sort of traumatic event finding their friend on
Poor Jen
the front
McCabe.
lawn of their own town. So going to their home would provide hopefully a more comfortable
Oh, it's all about their
scene for
comfort.
them to recall information in the comfort of their own home.
When you spoke to them, did
Ed
you
Wallace,
see any
paging Ed Wallace's head. Ed Wallace's head. I don't know where he is. He's probably in an undisclosed location. I don't know how far your head got. But it's all about the witnesses being comfortable. The comfort of Jennifer McCabe here is what is paramount in this investigation. And the comfort of Brian Albert is what's important in this investigation. And the comfort of Matt McCabe, the guy who said, tell him the guy never went in the house. That's what's important. Jennifer McCabe, who texted, she's telling them everything. And then someone else in their little group message said, I love it. Listen to how he's so concerned about the comfort of the witnesses. And yet, when he and Proctor went back to rearrest Karen at her back door in June of 2022, they wouldn't let her put her underwear on. Okay? This is disgusting. It should make you sick.
A more comfortable.
And you should be outraged.
Go into their home would provide hopefully a more comfortable scene for them to recall information in the comfort of their own home.
When you spoke to them, did you receive any information from any of them that Mr. O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview at any time that night?
No.
No.
When you were asked questions about scene versus crime scene, was 34 Fairview, the home, the inside of the home, a crime scene in your mind?
No.
You never even went
Was
there.
the area where Mr. O'Keefe found an important or unimportant area?
It's very important.
Did you know whether or not any of the Canton Police Department officers at that time had done any type of limited search of the area?
Limited search.
Just whether you knew.
At that point in time, we did know, yes.
And what did you learn about the scope or the breadth of that search by the Canton Police Department?
I'll allow that.
I knew that it was brief based on the weather conditions and the item that was recovered.
After you
I'm sorry,
spoke
the
to-
weather conditions at 6 a.m. They had cleared the scene, I think, before 8 a.m. And there was 3 inches of snow, maybe 4 at the time, a little more than to track a cat. But it was so limited because of the little 3 or 4 inches of snow that was there. And they couldn't see a giant piece of red tail light. Got it. Got it. So Canton PD really is incompetent and you're throwing them under the bus? And then you leave the scene unsecured all day. Got it. And that's all good police work. Excellent. Way to go, dude.
Item that was recovered.
Towing the company line.
After you spoke to Jennifer McCabe, and did you say Brian Albert?
Jennifer McCabe, Matt McCabe, and Brian Albert.
Thank you, Jen
At that
J.
point, did you have any reason
Marianne, thank you.
to want to go into 34 Fairview?
No, I did not.
Did you learn
Did you have any reason to want to go into 34 Fairview? Did you have any reason to want to go into 34 Fairview? I don't know. For starters, how about checking to see if they had those kind of cocktail glasses in your house, in their house, like maybe, came from a set. How about maybe, I don't know, go inside and see if you could find this sneaker that was not at the hospital. How about go inside for a host of other reasons, since it looked like he had the bejesus beaten out of him. Any signs of a struggle? How about any reasons you would want to go into 34 Fairview? Really? Not need to, want to. Listen to the question.
McCabe, Matt McCabe, and Brian Albert.
at that point, did you have any reason to want to go into 34 Fairview?
No, I did not.
Did you learn whether or not Canton police officers spoke to those particular people who lived there before you got there?
I had learned, yes.
What did you learn?
I learned that Canton police officers went inside the home, spoke with members inside the home as well.
When you speak to witnesses, you've done many interviews over your
Yes, I
career?
have. Yes.
In addition to asking questions, what are you looking for when you speak to a witness?
Were they all done at their
We're
homes?
looking for body language, how willing they are to provide the information, and as with everyone, we always trust by verify. We corroborate their statements.
Did you see anything
Trust but verify.
about these witnesses when you spoke to them that cued you or concerned you to do a further investigation?
Ask it differently.
Was there anything about their mannerism or demeanor that stood out to you?
I'll allow it.
No.
Brian Albert is a Boston
After
police
speaking-
officer that has testified hundreds of times. He's a professional.
To the witnesses, in your mind as an investigator, what did you need to do next?
I needed to take a look at Mr. O'Keefe's injuries for myself.
And you share with us detail about when you went down to Good Samaritan Hospital and make observations.
Yes, sir.
On direct examination, I pointed out you're not a medical examiner, are you?
I am not, no.
Not a biomechanical engineer.
I am not, no.
In your experience, when you looked at Mr. O'Keefe and had a chance to study his body, what impression did that leave with you with relative to your investigation?
Oh,
At that point in time, after viewing Mr. O'Keefe's injuries, my impression shifted from him possibly being struck with the glass that was located at the scene where he was found to him being struck by a vehicle.
Why?
Due to the abrasions and cuts on his right arm and the amount of force, in my experience, the amount of force one would have to generate to produce the wound to his head.
I'm going to strike that last part.
Yeah, too late.
After coming to the conclusion, or strike that, after making your observations and your determination, did your focus shift at that point?
Yes, it did.
Where did you want to go next?
I wanted to observe the vehicle that the defendant was driving.
What were you going to be looking for?
Any damage to the headlights, windshield, and other parts of the vehicle that would have come into contact with Mr. O'Keefe.
Really? That's so funny. Because you said you had already talked to Jen McCabe and she told you it was the taillight that was cracked. Why would you be concerned about the headlights and the windshield wipers? When your theory at that point, I know you don't know the word theory, but we'll pull out Webster's later, was that she backed into him because the taillight was what was cracked. Listen to that again. It's a ridiculous answer. What were you going to be looking at on the vehicle? The headlights and the windshield wipers, really?
That the defendant was driving.
What were you going to be looking for?
Any damage to the headlights, windshield, and other parts of the vehicle that would have come into contact with Mr. O'Keefe.
You mentioned the windshield and the headlights. Those are in the front of the car. Did you have an impression at that point?
Yes, majority of the cases that I had exposure to with pedestrian vehicle strikes, the strike comes from the front of the vehicle. So in my assumption, speculation at that point in time, based on the limited information I had, that was my theory.
Oh,
When you got to
theory. There it is again. The word that he does not understand the meaning of. But sir, Jen McCabe told you that the right rear taillight was cracked. But that's your theory? Because most of the pedestrian accidents that you, sir, have investigated involve the front of the car. Well, isn't that interesting? Wow.
Dighton,
Theory.
when you got to Dighton, did that theory change?
Prior to our arrival to Dighton, the theory had changed.
Based on information you received from Jennifer McCabe?
Sustained.
It's
What was
leading.
that based on?
It was based on information I received from
Jennifer McCabe.
Jennifer McCabe's phone conversation.
Okay. This is just one more example of a plethora of examples, hundreds of examples where Hank Brennan asks his witness a leading question. It's objected to because it's leading. And then he asks him the question in a non-leading manner, but he's already given the witness the answer to the question in the leading question. Did you see? He wanted him to say Jennifer McCabe. And that's exactly what he did. Listen to this.
That theory changed?
Prior to our arrival to Dighton, the theory had changed.
Based on information you received from Jennifer McCabe?
Sustained.
Leading.
What was that based on?
Oh,
It was
I know what
based
you
on
want me to say
information
now.
I received from
it's disgusting.
Jennifer McCabe's phone conversation.
So
And what was
disgusting.
that information?
That the defendant told her that she had damaged her taillight and showed Mrs. McCabe and Mrs. Roberts the missing pieces and damage to the rear right taillight of her vehicle.
Oh, wait. So she called you on the phone to give you that information? She didn't tell anybody about that during her first 3 interviews, including the one that you did at her house and the 2 or 3 that were done on the scene. She called you when you were on your way to Dighton to tell you about the cracked taillight. Oh, I see. I see. Jen called you to tell you that. That's interesting. You know who else she called that morning? Sergeant Lank, around 9 a.m. and told him to come back to 34 Fairview so she could add some stuff. And she added some stuff like Karen said, did I hit him? Could I have hit him? And I just want to make sure you write that down because she said it in front of some other law enforcement, but I don't know if they wrote that down. And he came running to Jennifer McCabe. Sergeant Lank did around 9 a.m. And see how Jennifer McCabe is the thread that runs through this entire investigation. Was Jennifer McCabe your lead detective? Yuriy? Sounds like it.
And showed Mrs. McCabe and Mrs. Roberts the missing pieces and damage to the rear right taillight of her vehicle.
When you got to Dighton and had a chance to look at the defendant's Lexus, did your focus of your investigation develop in any way?
Yes, seeing for myself that there was actual damage, coupled with the statements made, did I hit him? Could I have hit him? Along with the my observation, obviously, of the vehicle, my focus began to concentrate on the defendant.
Focus.
Share with us that you went inside and spoke to the defendant.
Yes.
Why did you speak to her at her home rather than ask her or force her to come to the police station?
Force her.
Same reasons we interviewed the witnesses, the driving conditions, the time that it would take for her to respond, the comfort of her own home or her parents' home, where she had just experienced a very traumatic event, being concerned for her
Wow.
well-being. We
So much concern.
interviewed
for
her in the comfort of
Karen
her parents'
Reed.
couch.
When you interviewed her in her
concerned for her.
parents' home, where was she seated?
On the couch of her parents' living room.
Where was her mother?
She was in the home. I don't have a specific memory of her being in the room with us, but her father was in the room with us.
Did you ever try to separate
Okay.
the defendant from her father when you interviewed her?
Yeah, please approach. Please approach. Because he says that at her parents' house, Karen said that John said he bumped his head a couple of days ago. And then he asked me about it. I've never heard that before. Have you? He was really concerned about Karen Reed's level of comfort because she had suffered trauma too. And yet he suspected her as being the murderer. Why would he care about her comfort?
Pleasure. To get back to
Right ahead. Mr.
Thank you.
Brennan.
Trooper, to get back to my question, when you decided to speak to the defendant, did you ask her father to leave the room?
I did not know.
Why not?
We just simply wanted to get her recollection. Her father did not pose a safety risk to us. He was not present, to the best of our knowledge, at the time when Mr. O'Keefe was
Important to the team of investigators.
extremely
Really?
important.
I'm sorry. It just jumped. Let's go back. One moment.
In addition to trying to get or obtain information about statements of the defendant, was there physical evidence that was important?
Yes.
Was there any data evidence that was important?
Hold
The
on a second.
deficient-
I got to get back to where he was talking about her father. Was there another sidebar? We weren't that far behind. Hold on.
Do you recall whether he shared it? Did you interview a person by the name of Anthony Flamate?
Okay. Hold on. It does. It jumps at the same part every day, doesn't it? Same
The
time.
statement was
What's made by Twin with?
I guess the internet is broken. YouTube is buffering.
Mr. Nuttall.
This is Boston 10. Hold on.
Were there a number of other troopers named?
What the hell, man?
Received new information tomorrow.
Completed.
We were not that far behind. I don't know what the story is with Boston 10, but it has captions. That's why we use it.
Just didn't like I had to. I did.
Decided to speak.
Right, I think this is it.
Right ahead.
Thank you. Trooper, to get back to my question, when you decided to speak to the defendant, did you ask her father to leave the room?
I did not know.
Why not?
We just simply wanted to get her recollection. Her father did not pose a safety risk to us. He was not present, to the best of our knowledge at the time when Mr. O'Keefe was injured. So him leaving the room just didn't appear necessary. Again, my concern was for her well-being, having known that she was sectioned, and
She was
we
sectioned.
wanted to make sure
She
it was a
was.
safe and comfortable environment for her to do the best she could to tell us what she remembered.
What was her demeanor when you spoke to her?
She was calm, stoic. She was sitting on the couch with a pillow on her lap, a laptop to her left. She was,
She was looking for lawyers. Is that what you want to say?
I guess, maybe poised when she was answering our questions.
And that told you that she's a
When you
murderer?
finished your conversation with the defendant.
Got it.
Had anybody in that home ever mentioned the idea of whether or not John O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview that night?
No.
When you went outside to get in your truck and follow the tow truck back to Canton,
She was medicated from the hospital. You're
do you
right.
have any information whatsoever that there was any animus or animosity between Brian Higgins and John O'Keefe?
No.
After speaking to witnesses and the defendant at that point, when you got back into your truck to go to Canton, did you have any information that there was any animosity between Brian Albert and John O'Keefe?
No.
What about Brian Higgins?
We've already talked about, out of order, your return
didn't
back
ask.
to Canton, the Sallyport, and then you and Mr. Proctor going out to dinner and going back. So I'm going to skip all of that.
Yes, he can come back on recross.
After you went home that night, did your investigation continue?
Yes.
How long do investigations continue for?
Until they are completed and exhausted, sometimes years, sometimes decades.
Sometimes 16
If you
hours.
receive new information tomorrow, would you consider it?
Absolutely.
Sustained.
When you write police reports,
If
is
you
there a
received
time limit on
information
when-
tomorrow, in this case, I imagine, would you consider it? Really? It was objected and sustained. No, he wouldn't.
you can file a report?
No.
Is there a time limit on when you can file a report?
No.
Throughout this case, did you write a number of reports over time?
Yes.
Did you engage in tasks after the case began?
Yes.
Have you engaged in tasks recently?
Yes.
On this investigation? Oh, yes. You went to visit Cora, who may or may not have been Chloe.
As you were investigating this case, did you speak to a number of witnesses?
Yes, I did.
Did you consider reports that were provided by other troopers who interviewed witnesses?
Yes.
Mr. Proctor was the case manager of this case.
Yes.
You were his supervisor.
Yes.
Were there other troopers who participated in this case?
Yes.
Do you know whether or not Lieutenant O'Hara participated in this case?
I do know.
You do know?
I do know
Did
that he
he?
participated. Yes.
Did he?
Yes.
Do you know if he had a team with him of other troopers?
Yes.
Do you know if Trooper Prince engaged in any interviews?
Oh,
I do know. Yes.
Are you familiar with the name Nick Gianturco?
who?
Garino. I saw it.
Yes, I
He
am.
just called Garino. He misnamed Garino and called him. Okay, now I got to know who Gian Turco is. Did he just slip? Was that a Freudian slip? Is there somebody named Gian Turco that we've never heard of? Is anybody else screaming at the screen? Yeah, we are. We all are. Gian Turco, listen. There's no time limit on filing reports because you can file them like 581 days later. It doesn't really matter from events that happened 581 days ago or interviews. And yeah, you're still investigating because you went to an undisclosed location to see a dog named Cora recently, but your whole report is fakakta. So we don't know where you went, who you talked to, who this vet is. We don't know nothing about nothing because that's the way you guys want it.
Do you know if Trooper Prince engaged in any interviews?
I do know. Yes.
Are you familiar with the name Nick Gianturco?
Gian Turco. Write it down, folks. Could be a clue.
Garino. I saw it.
Like Blue's
Yes,
Clues.
I am.
And do you know if he engaged in any tasks in this case?
I do know. Yes.
What did he engage in generally?
He generally conducted the digital forensics portion of the investigation, extractions.
Trooper Keefe, is that a name familiar?
Yes, it is.
And do you know whether or not he was involved?
Yes, I do know.
Were there a number of other troopers who were involved in different aspects of this case?
Yes, there are a number of different ones.
Trooper Evan Brent?
Yes.
Did you look or seek other information after you left the defendant's house?
Yes.
Did you look for other witness statements?
Yes.
Did you try to obtain further evidence?
Yes, we did.
Was there an interview with firefighter Timothy Nuttall on February 8th?
Yes, there was.
Mhm.
That was about 10 days after the incident.
Approximately, yes.
Did you learn any statements from him in addition to the earlier statements you learned that added to your investigation?
Yes.
I'm going to allow it.
And do you
Of course she
remember
is.
what Timothy Nuttall told you on February 8th, 2022 about any statement?
Here's his big
of
moment.
The defendant.
So folks, again, this is being offered not for the truth of the statement, but simply to show that the information was provided.
I mean, it's so crazy because everyone
Yes,
else
Mr.
who took statements from Jennifer McCabe wrote everything down wrong. But in the statement that they took from Nuttall, which wasn't recorded or signed, was probably typed up something like 500 days later. She's telling the jury not to I was looking at something else, not to believe that this is actually true, that he heard this, but just that this is what he told Yuriy. Okay. Do you see the difference there? The jury might not. Okay.
Not always one of three, I believe.
So talk about Mr. Nuttall, please.
Mr. Nuttall told me that the defendant stated, I hit him.
Was that information different than the statements that you were first learned about that she had allegedly made earlier that night?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, nothing is beyond the scope. Nope. 10 days later.
Did you interview firefighter Daniel Whitley?
Well, here it is.
February
Susie Q.
8th,
Nicholas Gianturco was an FBI agent in the Whitey Bulger trial. Well, that makes sense. I was going to Google it, Susie Q, but thank you for doing that because apparently Nick Brennan can't get him out of his mind. Because yeah, this is kind of like organized crime too, in a way, right? This trial has sort of shades of organized crime, perhaps. Maybe it's mob-like in its nature. Wow, that is awesome. That is awesome. Thank you, Suzuki. I knew there was a backstory to that. FBI is laughing, says Texas Mom PJ. This is insane.
2022.
I did.
When you spoke to
Sorry, I gotta take it back a
on-
sec. Daniel Whitley.
Did you interview firefighter Daniel Whitley on February 8, 2022?
I did.
When you spoke to him, do you remember whether he shared any statements about the defendant telling him anything about her interaction with Mr. O'Keefe at the end of that night?
I believe that he stated that they got into a fight.
Oh,
Do you remember the words that he used when he
mhm.
described that fight?
I do not remember the exact words. Those will be reflected in my police report,
Would your police report potentially refresh your recollection?
potentially.
Bob Weir is here.
May I approach?
Yes.
And Bob Weir, this may be a good time to announce your announcement, to make an announcement on behalf of Bob Weir. The Grateful Dead's 60th anniversary has just been announced to be held in San Francisco the weekend of August 1st through 3rd. Everyone, August 1st through 3rd, Grateful Dead 60th in San Francisco. It's going to be a thing. I imagine Dead and Company will be there. I don't know who else will be there, but thank you, Bob Weir. Allow me to make that announcement on your behalf. And now, Nutbag, never heard her say I hit him. He was in the ambulance. Yes, we know that. We know that, but let's let them keep rolling this train down the track. Casey Jones, driving that train high on cocaine. Casey Jones, you better watch your speed. Here we are. Insanity. I will see you there, Bob Weir. Can you get me my passes? I really need passes for this one. All access this time, please. Thank you. Love you. Love you, Bobby.
Hand you a document. I do not want you to read from it.
Okay.
I want you to look at it, determine whether it refreshes your memory, and then I'll ask you if it refreshes your memory. If it does, I'll ask you about it. If it doesn't, then I won't.
Oh, you're such a rules playing kind of guy, Mr. Brennan. Maria says there's a Charles Jan Turco in Canton, licensed investigator. That's interesting, but he didn't say Nicholas, right? He said Nicholas Jan Turco, which sort of lines up with the Bulger case. So, I mean, we could go either way with that. I'm not married to either one of those answers. Either one was Freudian, right?
Report doesn't. After reviewing your report, does it refresh your memory about your conversation with Daniel Whitley on February 8, 2022 about statements made by the defendant to him?
Yes.
And could you share with us what the statements were as related by Mr. Whitley back on February 8, 2022?
The statement was,
Okay, jurors, this is an offer for the truth that's contained in the statement.
It's not offer for the truth.
This information was provided to the police.
Because it's hearsay.
the defendant made a statement
Bobby's jamming with John
questioning
Mayer.
whether Mr. O'Keefe was still alive.
And anything about the nature of their disagreement?
Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant got into an argument.
So for this, the same purpose.
This is such
As
BS.
you're learning this information, does it in any way shape your continued investigation?
Whitley
Yes,
testified
it
already.
further supports witness statements. It further supports and corroborates information that we're learning. The more information we collect, the stronger the case becomes.
Mhm.
Did you interview a person by the name of Anthony Flamate?
Yes, I did.
And when you spoke to him,
When?
do you recall whether he shared any statements that the
Is that on
defendant
February
made
8th
to him?
too? There's so much reversible error here.
Yes,
And do you recall what those statements were?
Just keeps it piling on.
I do have a general recollection of what they were, but
I don't want you to guess. Would your report potentially help your memory?
yes, it would.
But again,
May I approach?
according to Jennifer McCabe, all of these witness statements are inaccurate because that's not what she said. So all of a sudden, Proctor authored some accurate statements on
Yes, sir.
February 8th, which probably weren't typed up until
Protocol that I mentioned before.
July.
Take a look, see if it refreshes your memory. If it does not, let me know. If it does, I'll then ask you some questions about it.
It is a medical miracle, Christian. This man's memory has returned. It's a miracle. Maybe it's full moon energy. Yep. Still no medical examiner or crash reconstruction 13 days in. Yep. That's true. Our justice system is broken. In fact, they're not going to call the medical examiner who did the autopsy. No, they hired somebody else. What does that tell you?
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And you know, that notion just crossed my mind. This is the monkey and the engineer, Jules. Patty says, let's all go to San
After
Francisco.
looking at your report, does that refresh your memory at all?
Yes, it does.
And when you were learning information to shape your investigation, did you consider anything that Anthony Flamati told you?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And what did he tell you that the defendant told him that helped shape your investigation?
I'm going to see counsel at sidebar.
That helped you shape your investigation. This investigation was shaped within 16 hours. They were going to pin it on the girl. Wait till we get to Proctor's text messages about that. For those of you who are new to this case, Chip, Chippy Bear, Chip Bear, depending on who you ask, that was his nickname. He was texting his elementary school friends that night, 16 hours later.
In addition to trying to get or obtain information about statements of the defendant, was there physical evidence that was important?
Yes.
Was there any data evidence that any of the team from the Massachusetts State Police, were you aware of them pursuing any data type evidence?
Yes, there was.
Was there some phones involved?
Yes, there were.
What phones did you understand or pursue that you thought might be helpful for your investigation?
For one, Mr. O'Keefe's phone was a device that we were looking into. We also had seized the defendant's phone and were attempting to access that device. There was other digital information that we were seeking as well.
Was the potential data from the defendant's Lexus important to the team of investigators?
Extremely important.
And did any of your team or the team pursue that black box, so-called black box data?
Yes, we did.
They broke it. No other phones, Winnie. No, they didn't need any other phones. They already knew who they wanted to take the rap for this.
You were asked whether
does
you
seem like it's beyond the
interviewed
scope.
or present for interviews of Nicole and Brian Albert.
Yes.
And after you spoke to them, including and considering all of the prior information you had, was there any evidence that John O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview Road on January 29, 2024?
There was not.
No. Ashley Lauren, Long Island in the house. Oh no, they're not going to show the arm photos again, are they? Because if they are, I gotta wait. Let me know if I put myself full screen if you can hear this. Wait, let me put it on when there's volume. Because the morning stream already got demonetized. I'm glad I switched to a new stream. Tell me if you can hear.
Relative to the information
Can you hear Hank talking right now?
that could be stored in
Can't
the
hear it?
computer systems
Why
on
not?
Alexis, do you know which troopers, or do you know if Trooper Garino was involved in any process regarding that?
Oh, you can hear? Yes.
Yes, I do know.
Yes.
And yes, he was involved in conducting that portion of the investigation.
I'm going to do that again
Part
when
of
they
the
show the photo.
investigation, was it important or was it considered to look at John O'Keefe's phone to see if there was any specific or particular information on it that would be helpful?
Yes, it would be.
What were you looking for? What was the team looking for on Mr. O'Keefe's phone?
Well, the all-encompassing data includes location, of the device. It includes communication, the party's identity with whom an individual could possibly be communicating. In this case, Mr. O'Keefe, his text messages, phone calls, emails, other applications like Signal and WhatsApp could have been also in use.
About voicemails.
Voicemails, yes.
Did you ever review or consider any of those things that you just mentioned in your investigation?
Yes, I did.
Speaking of interviewing witnesses, did you, along with Michael Proctor, interview Katie McLaughlin on January 30th, 2022?
Yes, I did.
Was
She was the
this-
first one.
The very next day?
Yes, it is.
Kevin Albert set that
As
up.
part of your investigation and the direction and scope of your investigation, did you consider the interview with her and what she might have told you?
Yes, it
And when
was.
you were speaking with her the very next day, is there any statements that she attributed to the defendant that you considered in the next days of your investigation?
Yes, there was.
Do you remember what she told you the defendant said that was part of your consideration for your future investigation?
Yes, I hit him.
I'm going to allow it. Oh, remember that the statement is not being offered for the truth of the statement.
I hit him.
Show that the information is provided.
Thank you for warning me on the arm photo. We figured out how to do it so you can still hear the testimony.
Statement that Katie McLaughlin attributed to the defendant that very next day, January 30th, 2022, did that shape your investigation at all?
It helps attribute to the investigation. Again, all the evidence, all the statements, all the digital, all the circumstantial, all of that information is coupled and then put together, capped off by the defendant's statements herself to form the case.
Yep, you're right. Hearsay can come in anytime for the Commonwealth now, anytime. Whatever they want, they get.
There were questions about a plow driver by the name of Brian Laughlin.
Lucky.
When did you first hear or learn of that name?
It was quite some time after the case had made its way through the court system.
When you learned
Right,
his name,
because you didn't investigate who was plowing. You know what's so funny is that the Albert family has lived in that house up until that point for something like 50 years. And Lucky has been plowing that street for as long as he's been plowing, which is many, many, many years. And the Alberts knew that he plowed their street. And Lucky knew the Alberts since he was a child. So if you had investigated, you would have known that Lucky was the plow driver. But you had your people, or somebody had your people, send the defense investigator on a wild goose chase to some outside contractor called By the Yard Plowing. But they didn't plow. It was Lucky, because Lucky was hidden. Okay?
Had made its way through the court system.
when you learned of his name, did you attempt to speak to him?
Yes.
And before you spoke to him, were there any issues you identified relative to Mr. Laughlin before you actually spoke to him?
In regards to him, no, I didn't know him. I've never met him.
Did
Turtle
you,
Boy
in fact,
found
speak
Lucky.
to him and interview him?
Yes, I did.
Was that interview?
This is the only interview that was ever recorded by them. And I forget how many pages it was, but let's just say 90% of the pages were asking questions about Aiden Carney, Turtle Boy. Yep. It's true. Let's find out the date when they finally found the plow driver and decided it would be important to interview him.
Did anybody attend that interview with you?
Yes.
It was asked whether or not there was a car that was seen. And that was what type of car?
Ford Edge.
Was he specifically asked whether or not that was a Ford Edge owned by the Albert family?
Oh, he delivered pizza too.
In our interview?
Yes.
I don't remember specifically, but it is along the line of questions that would have been in my report and transcription of the audio recording.
It's an audio recording. Could you imagine?
And,
Because they
one
wanted to
last
put some more
interview.
charges
Did
on
you
Aiden
speak
Carney.
to, Brian Albert Jr.? Or did you
Brian
consider a report of his interview?
I saw a report and
Did you
considered.
attend that interview?
I did not know.
What did you understand his relevance to be in your investigation?
He was at the home, at his parents' home when
John
The-
O'Keefe got there.
some of his relatives and parents' friends came back to 34 Fairview.
You mean his
And
relative, like
after
Colin, his
you
cousin?
considered that interview, did it change your perspective or knowledge about whether anybody
Poor Brian Jr.
had suggested that John O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview Road that night?
No, it did not. No.
When I asked you questions,
He stumbled over that answer. I need to hear the question again.
Fairview Road that night, anybody, your perspective or knowledge about whether anybody had suggested that John O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview Road that night?
No, it did not. No.
Tell him the guy never went in the house.
When I asked you questions earlier on in the case, days ago now, we went through a number of pieces of evidence that was found at different times at 34 Fairview Road. Do you remember those questions and going through that process?
I do remember, yes.
When we went through that process, were there any items that I did not ask you about?
Yes, there were.
And the items I did not ask you about, were they retrieved or found on different dates?
Yes, they did. They were, yes.
What else didn't you tell us about?
And the items that I did not ask you about on those different dates, do you remember how many different dates other items were found?
I want to say 3 different dates.
No.
And on those other items I didn't ask you about, who recovered those items of evidence from 34 Fairview Road?
Michael Proctor.
Were you with Michael Proctor on any of those 3 dates when he turned in or reported the recovery of other evidence at 34 Fairview Road?
I was not, no.
And do you understand whether anybody was with him on those 3 dates?
I'll allow that.
My understanding that nobody else was with him.
Oh,
And I did not ask you about any of those pieces of evidence?
No, you did not, no.
On cross-examination?
We're just
you
gonna
were
pretend they
asked
don't
about those
exist?
3 pieces of evidence?
Yes, I was.
Were you shown what are now exhibits containing pictures and a photograph of the bags in which those items were bagged?
Yes, I was.
Do you have those physical pieces of evidence?
I do.
Now I'd like to ask you about those 3 pieces of evidence. Was there evidence produced from February 8th, 2022?
There was.
Who produced that evidence?
I was Michael Proctor who recovered it.
And you were not there that date when he recovered the items?
I was not, no.
I'd ask you to retrieve 7-13, the items that were found on February 8th, 2022.
Yes, sir.
Do you have gloves?
I do.
oh, let's give him some gloves. Let's see how many pieces are in there this time. He's going to just show us all the evidence that Proctor allegedly collected by himself with no one else there. And you know who never found any taillight on the lawn at 34 Fairview? All the people who lived in that house. The Alberts have 5 kids, 2 parents, 7 people lived in that house. They walked outside every single day. They never found one piece of red taillight, but 47 pieces were found coincidentally by people employed by Massachusetts State Police and Canton PD, including Berkowitz, who was on medical leave at the time with Coke bottle glasses in the rain from his car. He just happened to see a big giant piece of Coke.
7-13.
All right, move to introduce this into evidence.
Cool.
Can you describe what is in that bag? And if necessary, you should.
I have
open
grave
it,
concerns
show it
too
to
about
the
how this
jury.
guy got to be a detective. I agree. Thank you, Grace.
The description is 1 large piece of plastic, red in color, 1 small piece of red plastic, and 1 piece of black plastic. I will open it to further show.
He's like a magician. He's going to pull a dove out of there too. And maybe what else do you think will come out of that envelope? A rabbit? Pulling a rabbit out of a hat. We have a little room to FF. Let's see. Ooh, this one's really hard to get open. I wonder what it says on the outside of the bag or whose handwriting that is. Are we going to find out? Oh, look at the giant piece that Proctor found. Come to your screen. This was found all the way on February 8th. Wow. You know what? It looks like a tooth.
This one's labeled 22-02-184-7-13 as the bag. And this is letter labeled A as an
How
alpha.
big these pieces are. They're so big. They're like the size of this man's palm.
Could you again tell us the date that was recovered?
This was recovered on February 8th, 2022.
I mean, 10 days later after Karen Reed was arraigned. Yeah. A little black piece. Little pieces that could have fit in his
This
little
appears to be a
portfolio.
black piece of plastic, same identifying numbers, but this one is labeled with the letter B as in
It's the
Bravo.
largest taillight in history. I know. No blood or tissue was found on any of those pieces of taillight, by the way. So, you know, there's that. Totally believable. The size of a pin it on the girl. Well done in lemonade pickets. Oh, look, a little tiny piece.
This
Probably-
small piece of red plastic is not labeled.
Of course it's not, because it probably broke off one of the other ones because you forgot the bubble wrap. Yes, Ed Wall is pointing out that each one of these pieces should have
You
been
mentioned
packaged
this was on
separately.
February 8, 2022. Earlier in,
So
are you done with
crazy.
that package?
Yes.
Earlier in your testimony, you had shared that you went back to 34 Fairview on February 10, 2022.
Yes, I did.
And on that date, you recovered pieces of taillight.
Yes, I did.
At that point, on February 10, 2 days after that February 8th production, was there still any snow on the ground at 34 Fairview?
Yes, there was still snow on the ground. Obviously not in the amount that was there the first day.
Why would it be obvious? Maybe it snowed again. Nurse Kim is here. Love you.
The
Love you,
second
girl.
production from Mr. Proctor, do you know what date that was?
Don't hold me to it. I want to say the 11th of February.
Don't hold me to it.
Did
It's
you
just a
bring
murder
7-14
trial.
and 7-15 with you?
Don't hold me to it. Just
yes,
a
I
murder
did.
trial. No
Could
big
you
whoop.
produce those, please.
Nah, no big whoop. 2/8. This is on the 11th. They don't know how to do coordinates, Michelle. He was already asked about that. He's like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do cross coordinates. Oh, 2 other bags. Here they go.
Let's take one at a time, please.
7/14 and 7/15.
Let's start with 7-14. I'd like to move that into evidence, please.
Hey, with my ears over here. Hey, with your papers by the mic. Get the papers away from the mic.
Regarding 7-14, can you show us what Mr. Proctor found on February 11th, 2022?
It's
Yes,
going to
sir.
take him a minute. Let's see. Here we go. The grab bag of evidence, everyone. You never know what's going to be in there. Oh,
It appears to be a variety of wax, like stamp
oh, this is new.
bags, as well as plastic containers. And this is consistent with having glass in it, as it was earlier.
Oh,
Is there, does the packaging?
the envelope of glass
is different
pieces.
than the other bags? Is there any reason you know of that the packaging is different?
It appears that these are small fragments of glass, so for safety reasons, it appears that they were placed into a hard containers to
God.
prevent injury or maybe possibly losing it.
Could you just hold up a few examples for the jury to see?
Yes. This one here is labeled 714, and then A.
Comedy.
This here is B. This here is C. And then there's fragments in here.
You don't need to take them out, just
Okay.
describe them generally.
I mean,
Um,
why didn't he put these on
small pieces of
indirect?
appears to be glass inside the wax paper.
If you can rebag all that, we'll move to the next item.
Yes, sir.
Here's a comment on this morning's video by someone named Thomas. Guilty as hell. This trial is so reminiscent of the OJ trial. Obvious guilt, but the defense attorneys play on the public's and the jury's prejudices to beat the rap. Yeah, that's what it is. There's no evidence of a car accident.
7:15.
Please, I'd move 7:15 into evidence.
Mr. Jackson?
Were 7:14 and 7:15, the two separate bags, both found on
Critical
February
thinking
11th,
skills are
2020?
good. Not everybody has them.
I can confirm
Common
that
sense
as soon
also
as
nobody
I
has sometimes.
look back at the bag.
Crazy, huh? So crazy.
Exhibit 130.
I mean, yes, let's get back to the sneaker, shall we?
Yes, February 11th.
If you could open that and show the jury.
Yes, sir.
Sneaker time, Nike Gate. Here we go. Oh, wait a second. Wait till you see the size of this piece of taillight. What's this date, you guys? I'm getting distracted by the stupidity. This is the 12th. So. Wow, look at the size of that piece
This
of
item is
taillight.
labeled with the same limbs number, 715.
Come to your screen and look at how giant this piece of taillight is. It's huge. Huge. It's like a dinner plate. Nobody found this up until February 12th.
And the letter A.
Strains credulity. This is the 11th. I thought the other stuff was, the glass was also from the 11th. So this is from the 11th as well. My mind is beginning to wander because
This
This is
is
insane.
2 pieces of clear plastic that are taped together.
it strains credulity. It really does.
The longer one here on the left is labeled H,
Oh,
and the
They were
one on
reassembled,
the
see?
right is labeled F, if my eyes are not failing me.
yes. I think that was the piece that Proctor found the day
This
after
is
Yuriy
a
found them.
canister
on the 10th.
labeled debris collection
Debris collection.
with the same numerical identifiers.
Okay, and just in case you're like wondering, is this like the debris collection from the clothing where the clothing was scraped and then put into this little canister, which was put into the same envelope as what, everyone, class? The taillight pieces. At what point did they scrape those scrapings and put them into that little canister? And, they're all in the same bag. Yep, all in the same bag. In a Zen container. Yeah, look, I don't know what that is, but
The same numerical identifiers.
When would you use a canister as opposed to just putting it in a bag or a plastic bag? Is there a reason it's in a canister?
yeah.
I do not know the reason behind it. I would strictly be speculating.
Oh, well, some of it's in a
This
canister.
small red piece of plastic.
knows what the
is
debris was
labeled
from?
E as in echo.
Oh my God.
There are more small pieces of that, similar to that size that I just showed, but
Very well. You can rebag that.
Very well. No big whoop. A bunch of little fragments in there that were thrown onto the clothing and then we scraped them and who cares?
You mentioned there was 3 different days where Mr. Proctor found pieces of taillight at 34 Fairview. I'd like to go to that last day.
that'd be the 18th, I believe, of February.
Do you have a bag?
I do.
Could you produce it, please?
I don't think any of these pieces that Proctor found were brought up on direct. So were they?
7-16.
At this point,
Yes, it is.
Do
it's,
you have it?
I do.
I'd like to move that into evidence, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
taillight fairy dust. Yep. Right, they didn't come in and direct. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you for paying attention. He's got his scissors at the ready. Ed Wallace, yeah, indeed. He picked the wrong day to stop sniffing glue. Ed Wallace did today.
Yes, sir.
That's the only way you could believe this. If you were huffing. Oh, more. Oh my God. Look at the size of this, would you? This is found on the
This one's
18th.
labeled B.
I mean, that's like the size of like half a Frisbee. I don't even, it's like a quarter of the exterior of a,
Here we have
oh, look at the size of that one.
3 red taillight pieces taped
Oh, it's
together.
3 taped together. Okay.
Appears to be mechanically fitting.
Appears
Labeled
to be mechanically
A,
fitting.
C,
It's like
and
Tennessee.
D.
Ain't no place I'd rather
Typically
be.
labeled items.
No.
Do you know where those labels and the taping come from?
I believe that's from the crime lab. They identify each
Magically
Um,
appeared.
item according to their
I can't do this anymore. I just can't.
protocols to help them facilitate their portion of the investigation.
Yeah. I mean, it's the biggest taillight in history. Yeah. And it was broken by a human arm that had no bruises
Small
on
clear piece of
No
plastic
fractures.
labeled E as in echo.
it. Hmm.
Small piece of clear plastic labeled G as in golf.
She is in golf. He's a golfer. Mm-hmm.
And another tin canister labeled piece of plastic.
Oh, it's like a chewing tobacco can, like a little tin of chew. Wow. You just can't make it up because you just can't. Just can't.
You earlier mentioned that the tow truck brought the defendant's Lexus to the Canton Sallyport. Do you know if there's a video depicting that arrival?
Yes, there is.
Oh, more video.
With
Cool.
permission, I would like to play
Cool,
a
cool.
portion of Exhibit 127.
I mean, there was no glass embedded in John's arm. No plastic. No swabs were ever taken from the tissue. Wait, is the arm picture coming up again? You guys said the arm picture was coming up. Let me know. We're not that far behind. Oh, it's outside. Oh, this is when the car is towed into the Sallyport. Look at the brand new stamp on the bottom there. It says 5:30 and 36 seconds or 56 seconds, 5:30, 58. Here comes the tow truck. Here comes the tow truck. 129.22. Funny. Wait, we have the capability. So let's play that at real slow speed and let's see if we can see Karen's taillight cruising by on the back of the tow truck. And if we can see whether that taillight is broken, because that's what we do here. We're going to play it real slow at quarter speed. Everyone get your eagle eyes out. Can't see anything, huh? Doesn't look like it's busted out to me. Does it look like it's busted out to you? Yeah, no, it doesn't. Although there could be a ghostly apparition of a blur spot on that taillight. This is a circus. It's a circus. I can't wait for Colleen Crawford to take the stand. She's their video person.
Have you seen that video before?
Yes, I have.
What does it depict?
It depicts a tow truck from Diamond Towing arriving at Canton Police Department,
I'm
followed by
towing.
my personal pickup truck that we're following the vehicle in.
That video, that's before the video of being in the Sallyport?
Yes, it is.
When you were considering the physical pieces of evidence,
It's at 5:30 on the timestamp, right?
part of your investigation, were you considering the weather conditions that night?
Yes.
When you were evaluating pieces of physical evidence that were found at 34 Fairview, were you making any assessment about their location or depth or closeness to the ground when you were evaluating them?
Yes.
And why were you considering the closeness of items to the ground?
Well, common sense will dictate that if a item is found on the grass and there's snow covering it, that it would have to have been placed prior to the snow accumulating. If
Common sense would tell you that. All of a sudden, common sense has entered the investigation. Could you imagine? Wow, just wow. Common sense. I mean, you can't make this up. You can't. Common sense would say, hey, you find a dead cop on another cop's lawn. Maybe you get a search warrant to see if anybody else in the house is dead. But no, common sense.
Well, common sense will dictate that if a item is found on the grass and there's snow covering it, that it would have to have been placed prior to the snow accumulating. If an item is shoved into the snow, it will be
Shoved into the
exposed
snow.
as the snow melts prior to it reaching the ground level.
I'm going to ask you to, with the court's assistant, retrieve Exhibit 85. Yeah,
I'm going away just in case it's the. I mean, putting him away just in case it's that video that, I mean, the picture that YouTube hates. Is it the arm picture? Does anybody know?
You have some questions while we wait?
I can.
Sure. Ask some questions while we wait.
When you retrieve pieces of taillight on February 3rd, did you consider their location, not only where on the lawn they were, but about the depth of where they were found?
Yes, I did.
The depth.
And based on the items.
Nobody
you found
measured
on
the depth.
February 3rd, how close to the ground were they?
They were on the ground, or in the instance with the hat, it was frozen almost in a solid piece to the grass blades, to the ground.
And was that significant to you, how the hat was found?
Yes, it was.
I'm sorry about Lola. Lola the good
99
dog.
feet?
Prayers up for Lola the good dog. Lola the good dog's Lola. Hold on. You can still hear it. But if it's the arm, we gotta,
We now have 99
it's
deep.
not. Oh, that frozen hat. Look at, they found a ruler.
Beneath the hat on the left side next to the ruler, what do you see?
Yellow grass and a leaf, I believe, a brown leaf.
Was that of importance to you?
Yes, it was.
I may approach, Your Honor.
Yes.
And if you could turn the lights on and take that down, please.
I can't believe they found a ruler when they found the hat. That's so crazy.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations to your brother, Navy Pearl. He just made detective. Hopefully he doesn't learn anything from this
Take the
trial.
item out of your bag, please, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, this is a big bag. Let's see what's in the big bag of evidence. It doesn't seem that he's even going to have to open. Look, it was already cut open. He didn't have to go through the whole cutting of it. It was just open. Oh, here are the jeans again. Didn't he already show the jeans? What are we doing here?
Can you look at the back of the pants, please?
Oh, the ripped pocket. They're watching us. They're watching us.
As part of your investigation and the significance of the evidence, did you consider any debris on the back of the pants as part of your analysis?
The big ass grass stain? Or the ripped pocket?
Yes, the grass stains on the left.
Objection.
The appearance of the
Hold on.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
the.
How does he know it's
the
a grass
staining
stain?
that's taken place or had taken place on these jeans was significant in the fact that
He was dragged?
it appears to be green and grass stain.
What did that suggest to you as part of your evaluation of your investigation and the decisions that you made after?
It suggests that Mr. O'Keefe impacted the grass area with his left
Butt
glute,
cheek? Glute.
transferring green staining onto his pants.
Uh-huh. Right.
Are you or do you know
Welcome,
from your
Muse.
investigation
Happy to have you.
the amount of snow that was on the ground at about 12:32:09 to 12:32:12?
I know. Enough
on
to
January
track a
29th
cat.
of
Hold on. The
2022?
time is going to be important here because this is the time he's going to allege that John O'Keefe was murdered by the Lexus after he was bitten by the Lexus. 12:31. Hold on.
At about 12:32:09, that was on. From your investigation, the amount of snow that was on the ground at about 12:32:09 to 12:32:12 on January 29th of 2022.
The timeline has drifted to
Yes,
12:32:09.
based on my investigation and review of video from surveillance footage, it appears to be very little to a coating of snow in some areas.
Enough to track a cat.
Package that for us, please.
Yes, sir.
Joe Keith's pants.
What? 12:32:09 to 12:32:12. That's exactly the time that they're going to say John O'Keefe died, I believe. Happy anniversary, Midnight
I
Mike.
have just a few final questions for you, Trooper Bukhenik.
Yes, sir.
You were asked questions about interviewing Brian Higgins,
Yes.
and you shared with us that he provided you a number of text messages between him and the defendant.
Yes.
You began to explain that you vet information during your investigation.
Yes, we do.
What did you tell him you were going to do with the messages he was giving you?
I explained to Mr. Higgins that we have in our custody and will eventually get into both the defendant's phone and Mr. O'Keefe's phone, so that protect his integrity as a law enforcement official. I told him that
Oh wait, so
The information-
you read him the riot act instead of asking for his physical phone. You read him the riot act and you said, "Higgy, if you're not telling the truth, you better know that I got John's phone and I got Karen's phone. So if you're not giving me the right text messages, you're going to be in really big trouble, and you too might lose 5 days of vacation pay when this is all over, as the ATF agent that you are. So shame on you, Higgy, if you're not being honest with me now, because I'm going to catch you. I'm going to catch you. I will. You and your little dog too, Chloe. But now her name is Cora because she's in witness protection, maybe.
into we have in our I explained to Mr. Higgins that we have in our custody and will eventually get into both the defendant's phone and Mr. O'Keefe's phone.
We may or may not look for
so
nudes.
that protect his integrity as a law enforcement official. I told him that the information he was providing better be true and accurate, or else
Better be or else.
he would suffer the consequences of the ulterior.
What
Did you in
consequences?
fact vet what he gave you?
Yes.
And before you vetted it, did he make any changes, additions, or
Wait.
subtractions from that information?
What
No, he did not.
what was his punishment going to
When you
be?
vetted that information, was there anything different from the alternative source, that being the defendant's phone from his phone?
Not that I noticed, no.
Or that exhibit or that document has been marked for identification, I'd like to introduce it as an exhibit.
Look at Midnight Mike gifting 5 memberships on his 41st anniversary. Happy anniversary to Mr. and Mrs. Midnight Mike. Thank you. Welcome to the 5 randomly gifted members, new members.
My apologies, I'll need to look, I don't know the number offhand.
I think the clerks might have it.
It's marked for identification. This has been introduced as exhibit 115.
Yes, Ginger. Ally McCabe on direct during the first trial said Colin wasn't there when John was. She did. And then she broke down and cried after that. And then organically brought in the harassment. That was during the first trial, for those of you who don't know. I don't think they intend to call
Part of your
Ally this
investigation,
time.
did you look
Commonwealth anyway.
to see if there was any animus or difficulty between Mr. Higgins and Mr. O'Keefe prior to Mr. O'Keefe's death?
Yes.
Did you look at text message records to see if there was any motive that was evidenced in those text messages for Mr. Higgins to want to murder Mr. O'Keefe?
I did look.
May I approach?
Did you looked? What about the fact that he was going after his girl? That didn't. 18 Wheels of Outrage gifted 5 memberships too. Thank you. I appreciate you so much.
I handed you a document. Do you recognize that package of materials?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
It's the extraction printed out from Brian Higgins' phone, dated 2/3, meaning February 3rd, 2022. And it is a conversation between the defendant and Mr. Higgins.
She'd already been arrested and
And a
arraigned
number of different dates.
on February 3rd.
Yes, it does.
Did you look through those conversations or text messages to identify whether there was any animus or motive?
Yes, I did.
I'd move to introduce those documents as the next exhibit.
No objection, Your Honor.
He read all those text messages last Friday.
Hold on.
That was quite a fine, dramatic reading.
Chief Berkowitz, did you find any evidence in the conversation?
Hold on, I'm sorry. Proceed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
My apologies.
It was his personal vehicle. That's why there's no dash cam.
When you studied
Cuckoo.
the materials, the conversation, communications between Brian Higgins and John O'Keefe, did you find any evidence shaping your investigation that there was a motive to harm, hurt, or murder Mr. O'Keefe by Mr. Higgins?
No, there was not.
There's no motive for Karen to murder John O'Keefe.
I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Sure.
Recross. Yes, Will Wallace.
You were just asked about.
We do
Brian
need an
Higgins,
expert.
your interview with Brian
Judge
Higgins.
Wallace.
Where did that take place?
In Sharon at an attorney's office.
Oh,
At his lawyer's house.
lawyer's house in Sharon?
I'm not sure if he resides there, but it was an office.
With his lawyer present, correct?
Yes.
Did you find that unusual?
Objection.
This is new. This is new. We didn't know Higgins was, we knew he was interviewed somewhere in Sharon at the last trial, but it was never brought out that it was his lawyer's office, right? Didn't some people speculate that it may have been rehab or some other medical facility? But now we know He was interviewed at his lawyer's office on February 3rd. Wow, he lawyered up but quick for a guy who had nothing to hide, didn't he? Wow. Okay. Okay. Could have been a home office, could have been a house that he also lives in that is also his lawyer's office. But here you go. Here it is. It's coming in this time.
Higgins, in your interview with Brian Higgins, where did that take place?
In Sharon at a an attorney's office.
At his lawyer's house, correct?
I'm not sure if he resides there, but it was an office.
With his lawyer present, correct?
Yes.
Did you find that unusual?
Objection.
Sustained.
He wasn't under arrest, correct?
No.
You hadn't read him his rights.
No need to know.
No need to, because he wasn't in custody, correct?
Right.
Correct.
He was just a witness in a case that you're investigating.
Right.
That's correct.
But he asked that you interview him in his lawyer's presence, correct?
Yes.
You were asked about any evidence of Brian Higgins having a motive to murder John O'Keefe just a few minutes ago by Mr. Brennan, right?
Yes.
And you said, no, I didn't find a motive that Brian Higgins would want to murder John O'Keefe. Is that right?
That's right.
What about a motive to confront him? About a girl he was interested in. Did you see that?
I believe the text messages speak for themselves.
You saw-
Everybody heard me read them out loud.
What about the waterfall video that you already had in your possession, you doofus?
Yep, the text messages do, but I'm asking you. You were just asked about your opinion, whether or not there was a motive that you found for Brian Higgins to want to murder John O'Keefe. I'm asking you a different question. Did you, in your mind, in your opinion, after having read those texts, find a motive for Brian Higgins to perhaps want to confront John O'Keefe because of jealousy?
If you're asking for my opinion is that he would need to confront Mr. O'Keefe. Mr. O'Keefe was not the one pursuing Mr. Higgins. It was your client that was pursuing Mr. Higgins.
Okay, so, well, text messages, like you said, speak for themselves. You'll agree that it showed that there was a mutual interest, right? It just wasn't one-sided.
At times there was flattering text messages from both sides, but your client reached out to him first.
Right. I mean, somebody's got to reach out, right? Everybody's got to reach out to somebody. First, someone's got to do it first, right?
Well, it depends.
Doesn't mean that there's not mutual affection for one another. Is that right? Or at least perceived mutual affection.
He thought she was hot from jump, remember?
From
the
I don't understand
jump.
the question.
Did you see in those text messages, in your mind, a motive that might lead to jealousy on the part of Brian Higgins?
No, I think Brian Higgins was pretty clear in his request for explanation of what the defendant wanted out of this, and stated that he's friends with Mr. O'Keefe. So he wanted clarity from the defendant about what was going on.
Actually, sorry, go ahead.
I didn't read it to be that he was jealous as I sit here thinking back on the content.
What about after drinking Jameson and ginger all night long and sending a text that said, well?
Yeah.
Objection.
Might that change things?
I don't know what Mr. Higgins's state of mind was. Well, could mean many different things. They could have had a face-to-face interaction, a look. We'd be strictly speculating what was intended by that, or what was the intent of communication by that text message.
But you didn't even consider him a suspect ever.
Communicating with Ms. Reed in a romantic manner, and then seeing her walk in the door with John O'Keefe and sending the text message, well, after having been intoxicated. You see that, detective, as an investigator, as a reasonable, objective investigator, as a possible scenario for Brian Higgins to be jealous about John O'Keefe?
There's a possibility there, but I didn't see it.
Did you explore that possibility?
I didn't see it.
When you got all these
Is
texts,
your game as bad as Higgy's? Come on, man.
We did not follow up on that aspect based on the totality of the entire investigation.
did you pull the tape at the waterfall and review the tape as we did here in court?
That happened, yes.
Hmm.
Did you see on the tape a time just before Brian Higgins left the location where he was confronted by Chris Albert?
Objection.
Change the wording.
Sure. Did you see a circumstance, did you see a situation on that tape where Brian Higgins is standing and Chris Albert physically puts his hand on Brian Higgins' arm, on his left arm?
I don't have a specific memory of that.
You remember a circumstance on that tape where Brian Higgins pulled his arm away and looked past Chris Albert over toward the bar, which is where John O'Keefe was standing. You see that?
I do remember you pointing that out, but we couldn't tell him who exactly he was looking at based on the video.
Did you see a circumstance in which Brian Higgins then put his hand on his forehead and began rubbing his forehead like this?
I don't have a memory of that.
Did you see a circumstance in which he then motioned over toward that side of the bar with his left hand?
That I remember, yes.
Did that seem realistic to you? Let me ask it a different way. Did that seem to you as a reasonable interpretation? Hey, come on outside.
Hmm. It was like this.
Come here.
Come on.
Very reasonable since they've been invited to 34 Fairview.
Did it look, in your opinion, that was just a, hey, let's go together? Or did it look more to you like, hey, come outside? Or let's step outside?
The totality of the investigation, the fact that when they stepped outside, there was no confrontation and they were invited to the address. Again, totality of the investigation suggests otherwise.
Yeah. How about you come in here
Totality of the investigation.
at 12:20?
Brian Higgins left first. He was the first to arrive at 34 Fairview, even before Brian Albert.
He was laying in wait. He was laying in
I
wait.
am, yes.
And you're also aware that John O'Keefe and Karen Reed were among the last to arrive. So they didn't step outside together.
Right.
They didn't step outside, but once he was invited, according to your narrative, wouldn't they have a discussion outside where he was invited to come out?
So, Mr. Jackson, I just want to ask you, how much longer?
Not long.
How much longer do you think you're going to be?
You give me
It's like 4:20. I gotta go.
10 minutes.
I got a place I gotta go.
Jurors are saying yes. Is it okay with all the jurors? We usually break at 4.
I don't want to overstep. I'm happy to stop now, but I think I can get it finished.
I'd like to finish with this witness and not have to bring it back again tomorrow. Thank you.
The jurors are like, yeah, get him the hell out of here and don't let Brennan redirect anything.
You're aware that, according to the tape, John O'Keefe left about 10 minutes after Brian Higgins, or so.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay. You would agree, as a homicide investigator, not every death starts off as an intended murder, correct?
Right.
I will agree to that.
Sometimes a fight could go wrong, and you intend to fight and duke it out. Something goes wrong, something goes south, someone dies, correct?
Objection.
What's objectionable about that?
It's beyond the scope. So we'll go-
Beyond the scope? The whole investigation is the scope, Your Honor.
You were asked on redirect examination about taillight pieces that were found by the CERT team. I want to ask you real quick about that. Your testimony was you recall that the CERT team found a large piece of red taillight material during their initial search. Is that correct?
That's my recollection, yes.
Okay. Did the CERT, you had a debriefing with the CERT team, correct?
Not the CERT team. I had a debrief with the members of our unit at the Canton PD conference room. I do not have a memory of the CERT team being there.
No, of course not.
Do you recall ever being told or informed that the CERT team actually recovered maybe 5 or 6 pieces, maybe 7 pieces of small plastic material in addition to the shoe, as opposed to a large piece of red taillight?
The memory that stands out to me that I have is that there was a large piece of plastic recovered. It wasn't a shard. It was significant enough that, shown on the photograph taken by Detective Lieutenant Tully.
And do you recall that the CERT team, or were you ever informed that the CERT team found those, according to the CERT team, within inches of one another, within about a 2-foot square radius?
I don't have a memory of where they found them exactly.
Because
I
nobody
wasn't there.
took pictures
Okay.
or charted cross coordinates.
You were asked about the taillight. You were shown a photograph of the taillight, where almost the entirety of that lens material is missing, gone, correct?
Yes.
And you remember talking to JEN McCabe originally, interviewing her within days of this incident happening, correct?
It was the 29th we
As a matter
interviewed.
of fact, the day.
That day, yes.
Do you remember her saying that the taillight was cracked/broken?
She communicated that over the phone to Michael Proctor, which was then documented later on in the interview report
Yeah.
from
In that
earlier.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And it was documented within the interview report.
Okay. And in that interview report, it doesn't say the entire lens cap of that taillight is gone, correct?
Correct. The report does not say that, no.
And she didn't describe that, did she?
I don't know what she described to Michael Proctor over the phone.
You pulled out a pair of jeans belonging to Mr. O'Keefe just a second ago,
Yes.
and you noted that on his, what would be his left rear pocket, there was a stain.
Yes.
You said that was an apparent grass stain, and it was green.
Based on my observation here holding them, that's what it appeared. Yes.
Anybody
Maybe
ever
dirt,
test that?
Maybe other substances.
That was my question. Did you seek to analyze what that discoloration was from, or have caused that to be analyzed by the crime lab?
Ask about the pumpkin.
The genes were processed. I don't know what their protocol is to analyze it. They process those genes. There's pieces missing from cuttings and stuff like that.
Understood. So as you sit here, you have no evidence at all that those are grass stains, correct?
Strictly my experience of knowing grass stains and observing it.
Could be dirt,
Could be.
Could be
oil, or grease.
oil or grease. That's
I don't know
interesting.
about that, but
They look brown. Stains look brown, doesn't it?
there's different parts of the stain. Some has brown, some has green, different parts of it.
Could you get, in your experience, stains on the back of pants from being dragged?
I've never dragged anybody, so from my experience, I can't tell you.
I didn't ask if you've ever dragged anybody. You've never murdered anybody either, but you're a homicide investigator.
Ha! Well done. He said, I didn't ask if you ever dragged anybody. You never murdered anybody either, but you're a homicide investigator. Well done.
Those stains from being dragged is just a common sense question.
My common sense dictates that it was not a drag, a mark, because it would have linear characterizations, and it would be both buttocks that are engaged in contact with the ground while being dragged.
Or if he was being dragged and he had something in his pocket, or being dragged at an ankle. Being dragged through a crease spot that was only on the left. Well, that all those are possible.
Yeah.
Again, my opinion, common sense dictates it was not the case.
Common sense. That's how you conduct all your investigations, based on common sense.
But you certainly didn't take any action to investigate the forensically what those stains actually were.
I did not know.
By the way, can you lose a shoe from being dragged?
Ha.
It depends. I guess you can, depending on how loose it is.
Can you lose a shoe from being dragged? Can you rip a pocket?
You said that there was no information that you had regarding Brian Higgins and John O'Keefe having any animosity toward each other prior to January 29th, 2022, correct?
Correct.
But you did, now let's talk about on January 29th, 2022. In your experience, does drinking alcohol increase a likelihood or increase the possibility of getting into an altercation?
I would say, in my experience, in my opinion, the alcohol could become a social lubricant and
Social lubricant has entered the
exacerbate
chat.
emotions. But to speak in a definitive form here, I can't.
You've heard of beer muscles. That's a common phrase, right?
Beer muscles?
Never heard that before, no.
Beer guts?
English is like
That
his
one?
third language. Come
I've
on.
heard of beer gut, but not beer guts.
Having the guts to walk up to someone you might not otherwise walk up to in a bar because you've had too much to drink. Is that what beer muscles could mean?
I would say maybe liquid courage,
Even better.
Oh, liquid courage, even better. Adopt it.
giving you courage that truly shouldn't be there.
That you might not otherwise have if you weren't drinking.
Yeah. Yes.
Can we wrap this up, Mr. Jackson?
I'm trying, Judge. I won't be much longer. You had evidence that Brian Higgins had been drinking most of the afternoon and evening or most of the night, that evening and night, at the time that John O'Keefe and Karen Reed walked into the waterfall, correct?
I had information that Brian Higgins had returned from a police officer's funeral and then went to Waterfall after he changed clothes and took a shower.
Went to the hillside before he went to Waterfall and started drinking there, correct?
I don't have an independent memory of that, no.
But you did, at the time, you didn't pull the tape at Gesundheit. At the time, you didn't pull the tape at CPD that we saw with Brian Higgins on the phone at 1:30 in the morning, correct? You didn't have that information.
I'm sorry, can you
At the time-
give me a reference when at the
Sure.
time?
At the beginning of your investigation, January 29th, and probably the next, let's call it a couple months.
Mhm.
You did not have that information, correct?
No, we did not.
And you didn't seek that information from CPD at that time.
No, I had no information that he went there.
Okay? And you didn't extract his phone, correct?
That's correct.
And finally, you indicated that you were asked on redirect examination, did you have any evidence that John actually went into the home? Did you ever interview Trooper Guarino during the course of your investigation at any time?
Interview him?
Talk to him
No.
about his extraction of John O'Keefe's phone and any of the data that came off of his phone.
No.
You did not realize that Trooper Guarino had information that John O'Keefe took 36 steps covering a distance of some 84 feet that would have placed Mr. O'Keefe inside the residence at 12:32:16.
Objection.
Bam.
Did you have any information from Trooper Guarino about steps that were logged on Mr. O'Keefe's
Mhm.
phone?
No, I did not.
Wasn't important.
Is that it, Mr. Jackson?
Don't rush her.
You said
Don't rush
final,
him.
that's what I'm wondering.
May I have just a moment?
Yes.
I'm trying to wrap this up. I only have a couple more things, but I may be able to finish it with one question.
They start at 10 today. Exactly.
As you sit here now, are you aware of whether or not there's evidence that John O'Keefe, the phone describes John O'Keefe's phone taking 36 steps, covering a distance of about 84 feet at 12:32:16 on the morning of January 29th, 2022?
Objection.
Can you answer that? Are you aware of that?
I am not, Your Honor.
He's not aware of it.
The answer was,
No, I'm not aware of that.
All right.
Oh, she's done. So everyone else has to be done.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Folks, those same cautions, please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case.
So Brennan doesn't get the last word like he usually does.
Read anything about this case, please just
On his
do that and
second
let us know and
redirect.
social media use. We'll see you tomorrow.
Please rise for the jury.
So it's,
Counsel at sidebar. All right, let's FF it a little bit. He didn't even find out from Garino that at 12:32:36, John's phone logged 36 steps, which would have been 84 feet, which would have put him inside the house because that was not important to his investigation. No, not at all. Because, common sense. Bang, bang. Are they bringing him back tomorrow or did they say that he was excused? I thought she said he was excused. Well, we'll make it small till we see if she does anything else on the record today. Wow. Well, I did not hear him say placed about the taillight, Adam. Did not hear him say that. Did you guys hear that? Is our collective common sense beyond the scope? Says I'm more of a lessee. Apparently. Any other witnesses question with their lawyer? I don't think so. Well, the good dog says Commonwealth dictates Yuriy, not common sense. Thank you, Lil Fur, for your super generous chat out of South Africa. See, the world is watching. The world is watching. And what did you see today? A big, giant mess, in my opinion. Hates me. Do you still get super chats when you are demonetized? Yes. It's just the ad revenue. It's already been demonetized this morning because of that arm picture. And so thank you very much. Thank you very much. No, it's just the ad revenue. Yep. Muse says, I think only a pervert would use the word lubricant. Yes, yes, yes. Well done. Well done. So many people have so many problems with Karen Reed calling John a pervert. Dropped off on the lawn says, does the blatant misconduct by the MSP Canton police in this case open the door to anyone already convicted by them in other cases moving forward? Well, depends on if some of these investigators were involved in the investigations that have landed prisoners in prison. And I think they're all clanging on the jailhouse doors right about now. Alessi's suitcase of receipts says, did we discuss the car Higgy actually moved, the old police car? No, I did not. When did he move that? Was that in the video outside the Sallyport? It looked like he moved the antique police car. I do not know. Okay, they've cut the feed, so we're done with them for the day. We can go back to full screen. I did not see that. Thank you, CLK, but I don't know who Michael Welsh is, so I don't know what he tweeted. Yuri's Webster Dictionary says, I thought he was always a sergeant for the Massachusetts State Police, the last trial. Maybe you're right. Maybe he is not one of the ones that got a promotion, but although I did think that he did get a promotion shot. Can you help me on that? Wasn't he Trooper Bukhenik at the last one? And then he's a sergeant now. Thank you. Tammy said, I'm so glad you started. Yeah, I had to start the second stream because once they put that arm picture up, it demonetized everyone last year, so I knew better. So I started a second stream. Nixon said the camera cutout was a coax cable becoming unplugged. Thank you. Becky said, if a big SUV was coming at you in reverse fast enough, wouldn't you get out of the way? I'm sure John O'Keefe did. Plus, where he was found, if you look at the road, it wasn't straight there. It was a bend. That's exactly what people are saying. How could she go 60 feet in reverse with a bend in the road, 24 miles an hour? It's virtually impossible unless she became Mario Andretti. And apparently she did become Mario Andretti because if he was hit at 12:32, she made it back to One Meadows in 4 minutes. It's impossible. It's impossible. Jennifer McCabe said it took 10 minutes to get from One Meadows. He was a sergeant before. Thank you. All right. I misspoke. Thank you very much. Jennifer McCabe herself said it took 10 minutes to get from One Meadows to 34 Fairview, in the whiteout conditions. But, Karen Reed is now Mario Andretti. So there's that. Carrier Polo, is there anyone above Bev that could put a stop to this madness? Yeah, Michael Marcy, the district attorney, could come in and say he's willing to dismiss all charges. That's not going to happen. Does it really just stop with her? Yes, she's the judge. help make that make sense. I'm so angry. It's judge has wide judicial discretion. And I think we touched on that earlier today. And no, there's no way they can come in and stop it unless she finds that the Brady violations in this case were so egregious that she herself chooses to dismiss the charges. She could do that, like the judge in New Mexico did in the Alec Baldwin trial during the Rust case. But no, it's up to a jury. They are the finders of fact, and they're listening to it all. And based on what some people have been tweeting about the jury's reactions today, they too are laughing and they think it's insane. Hidden ex parte 11628. Please watch if you can. Maybe at the end I'll be able to pull it up if I have some time. Nina, thanks for the 10. It is 3. So amazing how Yuri's memory is so impeccable for the prosecution's questions, but not for the defense's questions. I believe that's called selective memory. Yes, some people call it cross-amnesia, cross-examnesia, something like that. Michelle, the search found LED transmitters, but the 507 video shows no missing transmitters. They've not done any research into those particular taillights. No, but you know who has? BN Trouble 31. He was in the chat today. He's done some great videos. He's spent a ton of money working on this and experimenting on this. He's bought Lexus taillights and an arm. We watched some of his videos the other day. Check them out on YouTube later. Bonfire 24. Didn't Matt McCabe say his wife Jen McCabe took Yuri's Chippendale dancing video at a wedding? I don't know anything about that, but he doesn't know them. I mean, I know what video you're talking about, but I don't know if Matt said that Jen took that video. Maybe someone in the chat knows, but I don't like to spread rumors and speculation. The wind was blowing north-northwest, says Alicia. The car was facing north. The right side would be snow covered. That you're talking about when the car was on dash cam the morning of the 29th when the wellness check was done. The wellness check that didn't need to be done was done. And that is what she said. And that is where it was covered, the right tail light. Matt says, wasn't there a motion to explain all or any objections? Yes, there was. The defense wanted to be able to state grounds for the objections. It would speed the trial along, in their opinion. And also, that's the way real lawyers do it. However, it was denied by the judge. So, you know, there's that. Buzzin' for Truth says, I'm showing as not a member. I don't know why that would be. If you're on automatic renew, maybe your credit card expired. I don't know. Was it a gifted membership? I don't know, babe, but it looks like you are now because I can see a little thing on StreamYard that it looks like a cupcake next to your name. So hopefully it resolved. And thank you so much for wanting to be a member. Lady Dutch from Canada. Perhaps when Jen McCabe and Karen Reed drove by 34 Fairview on the way to Lanks, that was on the 30th, they tossed the pieces into the snow. So many things are possible. Remember that 4-minute drive that Carrie Roberts said they absolutely did not do. And Jen McCabe's location data put her there. So yeah, interesting. Pink Nasty says, do you remember in the first trial, someone testified that they removed the rest of the tail light once the car was in the Sallyport? I do. That was a guy by the name of Brian Wanless. I think he's with, tell me chat, Canton PD. Brian Wanless. And I forget who testified to it, but they did say when Wanless took the taillight out in the Sallyport, it shattered or something like that. And yes, I do remember that. I don't exactly remember whose testimony that was. Susie says, do you think the defense will have to call Proctor due to how the judge has limited how they can ask questions about the damaging text today? Well, I think that if the Commonwealth does not call Proctor, that the defense absolutely will. I would not even say that they will have to. I would say they would want to. They would absolutely take nothing more delightful than calling Proctor to the stand to talk about his bias in this case and why it got him fired from the MSP, because it's really, really hard. It's really hard to get fired from the MSP, but he did it. He did it. Thank you, Susie Ritchie, for your 20. We are all Karen Reed said, Yuriy previously said, something seizing the SUV because Jen told them the I hit him story. Now he says Jen notified him while he was already on the way to Dighton. Yeah. Yes. Yep. I agree. I think he did say that. I'm going to have to go back. It's been 3 days, 2 full days and 1 3/4 day, I think, of testimony for him. It's a lot. It was Gallagher that testified about that. I thought that too, Stinkerbell. But he wasn't asked about that during this trial, was he? Wanless is on the witness list, so maybe they're going to call him and get it through him. The defense, that is. Collusion, not collision. How are all these hearsay statements not offered for the truth of the matter? Please explain. I don't get it. Well, they're offered for the fact that this is what the witness told Yuriy or Proctor, not that what they said is true. Like, for example, when Nuttall said in his statement, he heard Karen say, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. It's not offered to say that that's what really she told him. It's just offered to say that that's what Nuttall told Proctor. I know it's hard to understand. I know it's like very confusing. If you don't get it and you guys are the mirror jury here. Yeah, I know legal mind. Thank you, Karen Cold. I've already appealed it. I appeal it while the show is ongoing. So, whether or not they choose to overturn the demonetization of the morning stream will remain to be seen. But I'm fully familiar with appeals and I've won every single one. However, it takes a while and you don't get retroactive. It's a whole thing. But thank you. Appreciate you. Sidebar chick, 1:34 a.m. Higgins left the Sallyport door, the church side Sallyport door, with a Faraday bag in his hands, rushed over to Brian Albert's house to transport John O'Keefe's phone from the house into the front yard, blocking GPS ability to track the phone moving. That's a great theory. Thank you, Sidebar chick. What about the socks? I want to know, why didn't he ask about the socks? I've been screaming into the camera for 3 days. What about where are the socks? Ask him, where are the socks? Why didn't they collect the socks? What happened to the socks? Where are the socks? Wouldn't they have had dog hair on them? Because he would have taken his shoes off because he ran a shoeless house. Electron ash, clear diffuser / light pipe. The red LEDs shine into one end of a diffuser, else almost no light can be seen across the tail light. Watch BN Trouble 31. Yes, we did. We watched it, and all of you should go watch it later. I'm not muted. What are you talking about? Somebody said I'm muted. I don't think so. My mic is on. Roxy, did anyone ever reconstruct the taillight? Yes, they did. Ashley Valier will come in and talk about that. She reconstructed it. She did. And when she got her total reconstruction done, there was like 1 or 2 little tiny pieces missing. And you know what's so funny? Is that you'll see when she comes in to testify on behalf of the Commonwealth that different sections of the taillight, when she reconstructs it, were found by different troopers. So, for example, Micah Proctor's pieces are all in this portion of the reconstruction. Yuri's pieces are all in this portion. It's crazy. You're going to see it. It's going to blow your mind. But I just spoiled it for you. So, if you waited for the snow to melt, of course the items were on the grass, said best gun-losing detective. Yep. Ain't that the truth? JB, watched Monsters, Inc. with the grandkids this weekend. OMG, Brennan sounds like Roz from Monsters, Inc. Accent and all. Can't unsee it now. Thank you. Thank you, Amora Valesi. You can compliment. And Heather, who also points out that Nick Chanturco, FBI agent in the Whitey Bulger case. Yep. That was a slip on Brennan's part. Muse, welcome. Marlene, thanks for your super chat. Cheryl with an S. Attention locals, if you're available tomorrow, come on down to Dedham to support Karen with boots on the ground. Thank you, Cheryl. Melanie, do you think the defense will call Proctor? Yes, I do. If he's not called by the Commonwealth, 100%. 100%. I heard they can't question like they can on, yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, they're very highly skilled attorneys, Madeline. So whether it has to be direct questions or cross-examination, it's not a big deal. It's done all the time. It'll be likely that he's quickly declared a hostile witness and it'll turn into a cross-examination unless he comes in wanting to be all totally cooperative, Proctor, which could happen too, right? It totally could happen. Thank you, Skybell, for gifting a membership. Not so smug today, Yuri, says Cat Q. Thank you. Edel Ryan, thank you very much for your super sticker. Lisa, can the defense ask to have the sweatshirt removed from the plexiglass when their expert testifies about the dog bites? Yeah. Yes, they can. It's funny because, last trial, they were in bags and they were taken out of the bag and held up. And now for some reason, these shirts are in glass cases like they're going to be hung up at the Hard Rock Cafe in Canton. I mean, really? Yes, they absolutely can. And I hope they do. Sidebar check, 1:34 a.m. Oh, we already covered this one. Thank you. Sharon said it definitely looks like a Ford Edge in front of Brian Higgins' Jeep. Carolyn, it's also my 41-year anniversary too. Oh, look at that. You share an anniversary with Midnight Mike. Happy anniversary to you. Norman, Fairview speed limit is 20 miles an hour. And that street and the other street's 25. You'd have to drive 35 without stopping for a 4-minute ride with no snow. Thank you, Norman, for mapping that out for us. Coexist 2020. If you watch your video from earlier today and watch from a minute marker, 2:37 and 2:38, and you watch right above his Jeep, you'll see him moving a car. Thank you. Yeah, somebody said it was the antique car. Thank you. I thought I saw it too, but that video was so long that I started drifting and doing other things, but I'll go back and check it later. Thank you. Michael McKay says, new book called You Leave Me No Option. Did you write that book? You're an author? Thank you. Socks were given back to the family, says Jazzy Girl 1968. Well, that's interesting. Do we know that for a fact? Where can I find that fact? Is it in the court papers? Maybe that's why they didn't ask, because they knew. Edel, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Edel. Does the judge know the Alberts? Who wants to tell her? Or him? Well, here's a funny story in the things you can't make up. In the 1990s, I forget exactly what year. Who knows? The year of Chris Albert's car accident where he killed an exchange student named Peter Berger in a hit and run car accident. Chris Albert killed a man named Peter Berger in a hit and run car accident back in the 90s, and he fled the scene. Chris Albert did. He's the father of Colin and the husband of Julie Albert. Turned himself 94, 97, somewhere around there. Turned himself in around 30 hours later with his attorney. And the attorney who represented him happened to be a guy by the name of Prescott, who happens to be Judge Beverly Cannoni's brother. I mean, everyone's 6 degrees of separation, apparently, from the Alberts, it seems, in Canton. So thanks for asking that. I thought she said that he was dismissed for the day, but I'm not really sure. Stephanie, thank you for your $50 Venmo. Says, what a shit show this trial is. Wow, wild ride. Love you. No, I love you more. Thank you. You're so generous to me always. And Sarah says, we love and appreciate you. Sarah and Angela in Massachusetts. Shout out to Sarah and Angela. I appreciate you. Donna, thank you for a $50 Venmo. You're incredible. Thanks for all your coverage and insight. Your sense of humor gets me through the sham of a trial. He's like a magician. The best. It is. It's like getting away with murder, and it's happening right before our very eyes. It's insane. Absolutely insane. You couldn't make it up. Jessica, thank you so much for your cash app. I appreciate you. Tracy, just a little thank you on Venmo with a little present. Thank you so much for your very generous contribution. Therese, you have me in stitches, and I did leave Massachusetts and moved to South Carolina. On a sidebar, could you do a tutorial on your brown eyeshadow? Yeah, maybe we'll do a get ready with me stream one morning, and I'll do the makeup thing like all the young TikTokers do, although I don't think you guys would want to see that. Thank you, Sue, for buying a matcha latte. Says, my friend gave birth to a little tiny baby boy yesterday on Mother's Day. Oh, that's so nice. He weighs 1 pound, 3 ounces. Please, everyone, put up prayers for him and his family. Prayers up for your friend's little baby boy, Sue. My twins also were preemies. They were in the NICU for 4 and 5 weeks, feeders and growers. And look, the technology is so amazing and the NICUs are so good that I have no doubt that little baby boy will grow up to be a very strong and tall baby boy. Thank you, Paul, for your Venmo. Says, endless expertise. I appreciate you. And here's oh, this is interesting. So there's some pictures here of Brian Higgins' sweatshirt. Hang on, I'll show this to you. Thanks, Elaine, for sending this to me. Let me see if I can. I have to download this first, though, before I can get it on screen. So hold on one second. I don't know where you pulled this from, Elaine, so I cannot give credit where credit is due at this exact moment, but let's take a look. I mean, could it be two similar sweatshirts? Let's see. Let's see what you guys think. Here's the image. On your top left, this is when arrived at Canton PD. Look at the back of that sweatshirt and the front of that sweatshirt. And then when leaving Canton PD, look at the back of that sweatshirt. Wow, it looks totally different than the other sweatshirt. And remember, he often, I think, slept in his office at the Canton PD. He might have had some extra clothes there. I mean, clearly different, right? If you ask me. Thank you, Elaine, for sending that in. Oh, you worked in the NICU for 5 years, Angel Fire? NICU nurses, really? I mean, all nurses are amazing, but the nurses in the NICU are like even more special than regular nurses who are such angels already. Jay Fooder says, I was so hoping when Yuriy reached in the bag for the jeans that he would have pulled out another shoe. Oh, wouldn't that have been so great? I mean, you just can't make it up. Josh says, what surveillance video did Yuriy review to determine there was little snow on the lawn of 34 Fairview at 12:32:09 a.m.? Where's that video? I think he's talking about the library video. And you could see like on the village green across from the library that it looked, but I don't know. I don't know. I think that's the video that he's talking about, Josh, as I recall from the first trial. Free Karen Read 2024 says, and don't forget Morrissey's wife and Kanoni's mother worked together for how many years? Right. Didn't they work somewhere like a school system or something? If I recall, cafeteria workers, maybe in a school. You can correct me in the chat. Thank you for your 10. Cat Q says, AJ is so ready for the recross and I can't wait. It sounded to me like, oh, well, that just happened. You must be behind in the video. He did a recross. They were lunch mothers. Yeah, lunch. Right. Jessica, is it not odd that Brian Higgins can drink all day and night and just walk around Canton PD whenever he feels like it? No, it's not. It's not odd. Are you kidding? These guys all have the keys to Canton. It's like they've got the keys to Canton. They can do whatever they want. Whatever they want. He and Brian Albert had driven back from a police officer's funeral in New York City that day. They spent the entire day in the car together. They went to the Hilly, I think, before they went to, he's coming back tomorrow? I don't know. It says, somebody says, sounds like we're done with Yuriy. I know I am. We'll see, I guess. I guess we'll see. They drove all the way back together. They were, who knows what roadies they had. We don't know. Working all day, all night. And he said in the first trial, Higgins, that he left 34 Fairview because they didn't have any whiskey and he doesn't like beer or White Claw. So he left. Strong legs. I hope the keeper of the records for Ring has some boom testimony. That's going to be good. Joe Davis says, like boxers or UFC after a match, they shake hands. Do attorneys do the same? Not every day. But, there are defense attorneys and prosecutors who are very good friends because, like, if you're in the business for decades, you're running into the same people all the time. So it's never always personal when you're trying a case against an adversary, but in this case, it feels personal, right? Right, Joe? Kind of does, if you ask me. Let's see, what else do we have here? All right, I see you guys have sent me a lot of emails while we've been here all day. We've done 2 streams today. We've been here for many, 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 many hours. And we're coming back again tomorrow. Lenita, thank you for your cash app. And William, I think I already thanked you earlier. And Jessica, who said something like, the work truck window on the side was opened when he was in the Sallyport video in the parking lot. That's interesting. I'm going to have to fully digest this before I can even really break it down for you, because I need to go back and watch some of that video a little bit more closely. Tell me what you think the craziest part of today was while we're still here together. Oh, JR says, assuming Hank Brennan does a book deal after this, what should the title be? I'll kick it off. Beyond a Reasonable Doubt, Thinking Like a Prosecutor. Thanks. Stinkerbell says, Brian Higgins left 34 and took 45 minutes to get to the Can PD. Allegedly, if you believe what time he says he left, right? Yep. But do we believe it? 1:16:28. All right, let's take a look at this for Ipsy Dixits. Is that the timestamp on my video from this morning? Hang on. What did you say? 1:16:28. Okay, let me get there. Okay, this is 1:16:25. So let's take a look. Ipsy Dixit says that there was some sort of ex parte communication going on. Let's take a look at this. It'll be weird to see me next to my other stream, but we can do it for a few seconds. Here we go.
And potentially look for nudes.
Objection.
Why is it sustained? If you're not going to let him have an expert, he needs to be able to ask. You said that it was okay for him communication there. So I don't know what stream your timestamp is from, but that's 1:16:28 that I just played. I think you said there was something going on between Brennan and the judge. I tried. I don't see it. Sorry, Ipsy Dixits. I appreciate you and your super chat. What time is court tomorrow? It's supposed to be full days, 9 to 5 all day. All week, rather. All week. G-Girl said earlier, I sure hope the feds are watching the perjury that has been committed in these two trials, and I hope that charges are forthcoming. Who's the person that edited this tape? Do we know? No, we don't. But what we do know is that Colleen Crawford, who's like the video person for the Norfolk County DA's office, and Trooper Fanning had like 1 or 2 video editing businesses together. We know that. And we also know, and one of them was dissolved like right after Karen Reed's arraignment. And we also know that in 2015, there was a murder. The victim's name was Keith Boudreau, and the defendant's name was Paul Fahey. And in the civil suit, Paul Fahey, the defendant, who was still in prison, I think, said that Colleen Crawford and Trooper Fanning may or may not have doctored some video back in 2015, some surveillance video to get him convicted. So it's been well known, apparently, since at least 2015. Michelle, Truth Revealed creator, found that Brian Higgins and Brian Albert's testimonies were deceptive about them going to a funeral. Could they have gone for other reasons? I mean, that's his opinion of that they were deceptive. And so again, that is someone's opinion. And could they have gone to New York for many reasons? Was it also, it actually was I think it was Eddie Fernandez's funeral in New York. So again, I don't know, but other creators' opinions are just that, they're opinions. That's why I use court documents and testimony. Everyone smash the like button while we're here. I didn't have to turn off the air conditioning once today or turn off the fan. And we'll come back tomorrow at around 8:45. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. It's free. Make sure you hit the bell so you're notified of all notifications whenever I go live. And thank the moderators for keeping it classy today, because this is always a very difficult case to cover because of the vitriol and hatred that is out there for Karen Reed everywhere you turn. If you do not believe that John O'Keefe was hit by a car, you too will be attacked. So stay safe out there, my friends. Thank you, moderators, viewers, replay viewers, channel members. I love you with all of my heart. I will see you tomorrow morning. Stay cool, stay kind, stay classy. It's not hard. I promise you, it is so not hard. Your own life will thank you for it. Peace, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early again. Good night.